How do I get my screen wide?
Turn your phone. Yeah, you can't do it on your phone. You got to be on a computer.
I was thinking that was my first thought, but I was like, it might be a way to do it. But
turning your phone is about the only way I can think of.
I'm trying.
There you go.
There you go.
It was what?
Nah.
You had it.
Oh, it did it, but I couldn't see. Yeah, but I couldn't see everybody on the screen.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this beautiful face.
Yeah, now I feel like Pawpaw.
I get it. I get it. Yep. All right, so we finna go ahead and jump on in this here thing.
Lord.
So y'all shared somebody shared that mess about that woman who didn't have no orgasm until she was 38 years old. So this broad damn near 40. This broad 40. This 40 years old broad then finally figured out.
Why she got to be a broad though?
Well, 40-year-old lady. Excuse me. So I'm going to share the clip I found. I actually found the video clip, so I'm going to share that.
It didn't happen for me until I was about 38. However,
that's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
But I could do it with my hands. And
right,
like
of course,
whatever.
like yourself, but not from like inside.
Yeah. I was sleeping with a guy that had a very like straight, like just straight.
Right.
And that, I think, and I had been told that my uterus was a little bit tilted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was like kind of a perfect combination. But sex always feels best when you're on your period.
And walk through mud.
Did you just say mud? Really?
I said, if you can't walk through mud, you can. I mean, if you can, no, my bad. Not if you can't. If you can walk through mud, if you can walk through mud, you know, hey man,
walk through a 10-toe down.
That's her. And I want to share another one. There was another lady I found speaking on the same topic. It was a few ladies speaking on the same topic. If y'all familiar with these people right here,
like you masturbate? I was like, yeah, but I just started. I never had an orgasm till this year. In my life.
So you give yourself.
So you ain't never actually been.
That's not surprising.
No.
Common.
Because a lot of us don't. A lot of us do not orgasm. No, I lie. And I tell you this, Meg Thee Stallion made me feel bad because one of her songs was like, and I'm not gonna lie if I didn't come, and I was like, So I be lying. I be like, oh damn. I don't want a man to feel bad about it.
Nah, don't lie to me, bro. Like let's.
But I just like we don't need to lie to them because they don't care anyway.
They don't.
Whoa.
Damn. I don't think they don't care.
Who is this they you speak of? Who was the they?
He said, I'm Care Bear.
So look, man. So apparently, hold on. So from the post that I shared, and I'm gonna see if I can just pull up the post, man. From the post that I shared about this, I guess you want. I call it a travesty, call it whatever the heck you want, man. From the post I shared, there's 77 comments on this here post. And
already,
bro. Yeah, man. It is
87 people.
It ain't take that long. I mean, I did tag a bunch of people. But there's, bro. Listen, whose responsibility is it? That's my question. Whose responsibility is it?
That's not a fair question. That's not a fair question at all, because there are both biological, emotional, social, chemical factors that go into that. And it's not necessarily revolving around the men not doing something correctly so much as it could be her anatomy. There's so many factors different from so many women. Now, if we are going to break it down into the potential causes, A lot of it is mental. In that it's typical for a woman to require some sort of connection to orgasm. And when they don't have it, that connection, it's not always as easy to tap in just the physical pieces of it. And that part's on her. Now, the part that can be on men is you have a lot of men who don't know anything about pleasure. They just know about sex.
Same thing.
It's not. It's not at all.
Why?
That's like saying foreplay is the same as sex. No, it's not.
Same thing.
So you got like dudes that want to just like pound into it and think that's what every woman is like, and it depends. Some women do, some women don't, and then you have the women who don't want that soft shit either. So it's a lot of like learning your partner. So part of it is on women in that a lot of women, I don't think, know their body enough to even know some of the things that they need to communicate to their mate. Then there are those mental pieces that can cloud kind of that connection part. And then there's also the social pieces where you're kind of told, well, don't knock his ego. No, tell that fool it ain't happened. Like, and then you have some guys who do care, and then you do have a lot who don't. But communication is a big part of that. So it is on the woman to communicate some things, but it's also on the man to listen and not think he can apply the same rules to every woman. Because you got a lot of men who, well, I can eat it, I can do this, I can do this. And then he get down there and it's like, sir, are you a camel? Like, what's happening? I don't understand. So
what percentage would you say? So if you could make a percentage of it, what percentage would you say is on women, and what percentage would you say is on the men they are partnered with, the men they laid up with? Who
I can't, because that percentage is honestly going to be different for every woman. It's going to be different for every woman.
I don't like that.
For instance, for me, I took charge of my kind of sexual freedom in my early 20s. I read this book called 203 Ways to Drive a Man Wild in Bed. The first 7 ways were just about self-pleasure. And in just being able to not hold it into your mind, the things you feel sexually. So that was kind of my way to even know myself, to that I can even feel comfortable communicating when something didn't go the way I wanted it to go.
Okay. So wait on, let me flip it around. So for you personally, what percentage do you take? What percentage of responsibility do you take over your own orgasm?
Well, if I'm doing it myself, 100.
No, I'm saying I mean, if it's you, yeah. What percentage?
Partner, it's about 30-70. Me 30, because I'm vocal about what gets me where I need to go. If you aren't doing it, you just aren't listening.
I don't like that.
You don't have to like it. It's the truth.
No, we ain't ride with that. See, you know what? I'm glad my boy Frank is on here, because he gave me a good idea before this got off. He asked me to go ahead and get one of our late great leaders of the Black community in on this particular subject matter, and I want to get his take, because this is what makes it most relevant to me.
Talk about me all the fuck you want. I'm telling like it is. 3 minutes. That's a heavyweight 1-round bout, and people done got knocked out in the first goddamn round. You laying there, I'm pumping my ass off. Stop all that hollering, busting nuts so we can go to sleep. Fuck you hollering for? Busting nuts! No, you know I ain't bullshitting. You know I ain't bullshitting. I'm tired. I'm 42 years old.
42? I'm 41, Bernie.
I mean, but see, what he's talking about is kind of an extreme.
Come on, do something special. Bust your motherfucking head, that's what the fuck I do.
That's extreme, though.
Put your mouth on me for what, you nasty son of a bitch.
That's extreme. I mean, if averagely, on average, at our age, a good 10 minutes hard in the paint and we're good.
So,
if you need to go any longer than a good 10 to 15 minutes, sir, it's you.
So okay, but so for 10 minutes or so, the man is 70% responsible. Man, no, man, no, man. Hey, man,
absolutely.
How much responsibility are you taking in this rank? How much?
Man,
10 minutes. I'm just saying, like, and I'm not including foreplay. I'm talking about like.
Oh hell no! See, that's all part of it.
No.
See,
that's the whole. That's part of the ride.
That's part of it.
So you trying to do all of that in only 10 minutes?
10 minutes?
Hey man.
Oh, no. Y'all do realize that foreplay is like 90% of the job. And that doesn't have to happen in the moment. You do realize that, right?
I'm not trying to hear all that. Look.
Thank you, man. All that damn work.
No, foreplay is literally like the text messages during the day, the phone calls, the kiss on the neck when you walk by. So by the time you get to it, then yeah, a good 10 minutes is all you need. But if you ain't doing none of that, you're not maintaining the connection. And well, shoot, I'm 20 minutes in. Well, yeah, because you ain't done nothing else the whole day. So you gotta build up, damn it.
Y'all need too much. Damn. So much. God. Come on, man.
Listen.
Look,
listen up.
If your woman ain't ready to go lap, as soon as she see you, you ain't done enough foreplay throughout the day.
Cause we working.
Listen, it stands up.
I don't mean shit.
It stands up, and it's your job to knock it down. It's just that simple. Y'all need to get on the same page. I think it's y'all. I'm thinking it's more y'all problem than ours. I'm not accepting no responsibility. You know what? I take 10% responsibility max.
10
max.
Oh my god.
That sounds reasonable to me. That sounds reasonable.
10 minutes.
And that 10% is feeding you before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, if I don't give you nothing to eat, then that's my fault. That's my bad. I take that.
Okay, so that. What responsibility for y'all? What is the responsibility of women? What's the percentage?
At least 90.
Nigga.
At least 90. At least 90. Chef,
Lord, y'all caught it a real.
You cornered now. But you know what? I don't know. See, in this situation, Marcus be playing tough, but he might be a bit of a love doctor in this moment. The question is, Marcus, what percentage of a woman's orgasm falls on her, and what percentage falls on a man?
90-10.
90-10 who way?
90-10 her. She got to know her body.
Yeah,
exactly.
90-10.
100%. 100%.
90-10.
Exactly.
Okay, I will go back to what I said. Now that Marcus is here. Knowing your body is part of it. Agreed. The reason I said 70 is because a lot of times you would tell a man, well, this worked with the other girl, so I'm gonna still do it. Like, what the hell is that? If I know your body and I'm telling you what works for me, and you still trying to do this other shit, at that point, it's not on me anymore because you're just not listening.
Well, yeah, but that's the 10% to me.
Only 10?
Yeah, that's 10% because I mean,
Christ.
because at that point, that's on you. You dealing with that guy. You choosing to let that guy continue to smash after he can't make you do this, make you orgasm, whatever. So if you know what makes you orgasm, and if the guy has at least, average or better, you know what I'm saying, as far as his skills, ability, equipment, whatever, then you should, as a woman, most women should be able to get themselves off, to a certain extent. But the problem is, especially, I'm about to be 40 in June. In our generation, a lot of women in our community were taught that sex was bad and that, you know, sex is like this demonized type of thing. And so they grew up with this unhealthy relationship towards sex until they got to the point where they were grown and were having sex. And so subconsciously, like some women have these blocks that don't allow them to get there in their head. And so, you know, I've noticed it to be somewhat generational, but you know, it ain't just clear cut across the board.
I agree with that. Because like I said, it's mental, and that's a big part of it for a lot of women. It's mental. Frank, there are the physical pieces.
We didn't let Frank get in there a little bit. Frank, elaborate on it just a little bit more, man. Because I think the men have won this one. Unfortunately, Desi ain't come have your back. So hey, I mean, listen, this is resounding.
Either way, 10%.
I mean, 10%.
I say, I mean, okay, honestly, I still say that it's on women. That's y'all nut. It's your responsibility to know your body. It's your responsibility to know your body, like Marcus was saying. And if you're dealing with a guy who doesn't listen, then number one, the dude don't really care about you. He's just trying to get his nut.
Fair.
And what's the time stamp on you knowing this guy? Because a lot of women think that just because they're having sex, he's supposed to know what buttons to push. But if y'all just having sex and there's no relationship established outside of sex, that there was no conversation had before you had sex, he's not gonna know what button to push because every woman is different. So if you just jump in the bed with a nigga because you like because you like how he look, and you think that he finna just unlock this master lock because he a man, he's supposed to know how to make women come. He ain't go. You can't be disappointed when he don't because he in it just to pump and go.
And he just flat out might not care. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Listen, bro. If a man is operating in ego and pride, you know, maybe sometimes he's like, you know what? I want to constantly leave a good first impression. But if he don't care, it's like, you know, now in the sake of a relationship, I agree with what Frank said, man. When you get into that relationship space, I don't think that women should spend a significant amount of time not telling men what works and what doesn't. Now, timing is everything because you can't be in the middle of what's going on and just stop right there in the middle and say, you know what, this sucks. That ain't working. Let me show you. That's not gonna work. That's not going. It's not going to work the same way as a conversation after.
When a child touch something they ain't got no business.
It's different because a child isn't operating in ego. A child is not operating in ego, and women got to understand y'all ain't dealing with children. So what happens is the best method is after the fact, y'all sitting down, y'all chilling, and then you bring up the conversation. The most effective way I find it to be is with everything else. Hey, babe, is there anything I can do different and better? That's what the woman asks the man. And the man gonna be like, you know what? No, man, everything all good. And if he actually gives a damn about you, he's gonna flip that question around. Well, shit, babe, since you asked me, are you good too? And that's when you get to unload on his ass. Matter of fact, nigga, no, you suck. You know what I'm saying? You can't say it so blatantly and so obvious. But I think men, if they care about a woman, they do want to know.
The one time I have done it that way, I had a man sitting in front of me crying, and at first I thought he was joking, so I started laughing. And God, oh my God,
never laugh at a man in tears. Come on, man.
I thought he was joking. Like I didn't realize he was actually crying until I saw tears because I heard the sobbing. But I was
y'all was on the phone?
No, we were face to face.
All you deal with is feminine men.
I was 22 years old. Stop playing. And he was 21. So yeah, he cried, but
because you know what?
I don't have that problem. I only had the problem the one time.
Because so much emphasis is put on the man to make a woman nut the man feel obligated, and if he doesn't succeed, then yeah, that's crushing, because the nigga don't want to feel like a failure, especially if he feel anything for you. So the reason why he sat there and cried is because he felt like he failed.
Even
you know what I'm saying?
It's still funny.
It's a bit far to cry.
So hold on, wait a minute. So
it's deeper level stuff going on if you sat there and cried.
If you sat there and cried about that. So
that man was under pressure, man.
So wait, and I'm glad you said pressure, because that's my next question.
Oh my God.
So when it comes to sex, who's under most pressure, men or women?
Men.
Probably men. Absolutely men.
Men. Okay. See, and that's why it's more. I'm not saying treat men with kid gloves. I'm just saying you gotta, time and place is everything. Men are definitely under the most pressure because, I mean, y'all essentially ain't gotta be top performers in any way, shape, or form most of the time. If y'all just lay there and interact, y'all get away with being basic and average, and a man won't care. But a dude comes into his mind thinking about ability, thinking about longevity, thinking about size, thinking about, you know what I'm saying, you know everything that wraps up in it. And so naturally that dude comes in with a pressure that he has to perform. And like he just said,
and then society just makes it even worse, because if you ask the average woman out here, how big is the average penis? Most of them will say something like 6-7 inches or something like that.
Something ridiculous.
The numerical average size of a penis is 5.2 inches. And so you have a lot of people who have these, you have a lot of women that have these, lofty expectations, what a guy can bring it to the table. And then you have a lot of guys who don't know this either. And so, they're thinking that they're under, that they're not coming with the average or whatever. And so, it's a lot of stress and pressure on guys. Porn doesn't make it any better, of course, because if you compare yourself to porn stars, and if the women are comparing their partners to porn stars, or the guys on the porn and all like that, then it becomes this thing to where you really just can't meet the expectations, the false expectations that they have. So yeah, society plays a big role in it as well, as far as that pressure that's on a man versus 100, 200 years ago, it wasn't anything like that. You know what I'm saying? A woman would only have but so many partners anyway, and so there wouldn't be all this knowledge of all this different variety and everything else.
But even back then, you also have to think the notion of a woman orgasming wasn't even seen as a form of pleasure until recently. Right. Orgasm was a medicine to cure a crazy woman.
Absolutely. And she was crazy because she was in heat, because what happened was she understood what it was like to feel like a man when she hit 35. She hit 35 and she was like, whoa, something's wrong. I want it all the time as much as I can get it. And then she was going crazy up here, went to the doctor, and the doctor put his hands in there, flipped that switch a few times, boom. That, it was called the treatment for hysteria back then was a woman's orgasm. So we've definitely been in a dark place as far as knowledge and information with regard to sex. The Western world, the United States, the puritanicals that came over here and built the shit. I mean, the Pilgrims and all these old closed off motherfuckers. I get it. But in this day and age,
weren't even allowed to orgasm during copulation if the intention was to procreate. Like it was deemed that something would happen to the baby if she did. Like it was crazy stuff like that. Even I don't even think ever having a discussion with my mother or my grandmother.
No, that's something that I've asked so many women. And it was, obviously later, because early in my life I wasn't asking damn questions. But in my bachelor run, I started just asking this question, and I would say 9 out of 10 women did not have conversations coming up about sex with their moms. Or women. Nobody told them anything about anything. You know what I'm saying? It just was what it was. It was keep it to yourself. Don't do nothing with it. And if you do this, you a hoe, and this, that, and the third. And, you know.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The whole concept of sex was demonized, up until even just recently,
Yeah.
And of course, you still have some households that still operate that way, where it's just completely like, no. And that's one of the reasons why, I've got 2 daughters, and I make sure that I talk with them about sex, and that we have very open discussions about a lot of things, sex, of course, age appropriate, but still,
Bill Jameson said the church.
And I'm going to increase it as the age goes on, the rawness of it and everything else, to the point that they'll be completely comfortable discussing sex, not just with me, but with anybody else for the most part, and won't feel this thing, won't feel like it's this demonized thing or whatever. So.
Right. Like one thing I did with our kids is I talked to them about self-pleasure in an area where, they didn't feel shame about it. Because that was the thing, oh, you masturbate, let me shame you. These socks is crusty and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing shame in self-pleasure. Sometimes you done had a rough day. You just need to do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. I mean, Jesus, it's okay.
Get it on out the way. Just get it on out the way.
But let's also be clear. Some 70% of women or so never orgasm.
Yeah.
Period. They never orgasm.
Yeah.
That's according to studies.
That is physical, because the shape of the vagina can cause that. The shape of the uterus pushing on the vagina can cause that. There are a lot of things that can cause that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I say that it's mostly mental, more than physical. I say that the women that can't orgasm have probably had great partners, great size, great this, great that, great stroke, whatever, but just don't know how to orgasm. They just don't know how to catch their own nut.
That's part of it. But what I mean by the physical pieces of it is, like, you have some members that have curves in them, and that curve can hit certain things that a guy without curves can't. So this is why she may orgasm with one partner and not another, or maybe she's been with one partner for a very long time. Like,
well, just to be clear though, what I was talking about is women who've never orgasmed.
I know.
So, and have you ever wondered how long it takes
a lot of women who have never orgasmed have very few partners. And that's when that physical part comes into play, because if you're dealing with the same penis and it don't hit you right, you'll never get there. So anatomy absolutely has part to do with it.
Well, but what about a clitoral orgasm or anything like that? So I mean, that's what I'm saying.
We're talking about penetration.
Well, since you guys two both went so specific, I got
how long it takes the average woman to reach climax. I'm Dr. Rena Malik, urologist and pelvic surgeon, and today we're going to talk about what the average length of time it takes for females to orgasm. If you're new here, I make urologic content every week, Monday and Friday, making videos on bladder health, sexual health, and so much more. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and share this channel with your friends. So how do we know what is normal or average? Well, in fact, there's been a couple of studies looking at how long it takes women to reach climax. The first study was done in the United States and Hungary with a community-based sample of over 2,000 women. They asked these women how long they estimated it took them to reach orgasm during partnered sex, during masturbatory sex, and if they had any difficulties with orgasm. And so all of these 2,300 women were given a survey asking about their medical history, their sexual history, their typical information about orgasm and arousal, as well as any orgasmic difficulties. And what they found was that orgasmic difficulties were more common in women who had anxiety and depression and also had a partner. Of those 2,300 women, only 8% said they never masturbated. And what they found was that the average time to reach climax in women with a partner was about 14 minutes. However, when they masturbated on their own, that time was about 8 minutes. So what does that tell me? Well, women are doing a better job pleasing themselves during masturbation because they clearly know what they enjoy. If you've watched my video about female anatomy, you'll know that the clitoris is actually homologous to the penis in development for both men and women, or penis owners and vulva owners. Very often women need clitoral stimulation in order to reach orgasm, and very often when masturbating, women focus on clitoral stimulation. The other reason that authors in this article mentioned why women may orgasm quicker during masturbation is because during sex, women are more focused on intimacy and trust with their partner, whereas masturbation is primarily 100% for pleasure. Despite the difference in the time it takes to reach climax, the majority of women in this study found partnered sex more satisfying than masturbation. Those with orgasmic difficulty, however, were a little less likely, about 44% compared to those without orgasmic difficulty, where 75% of women found that partnered sex was more satisfying. Interestingly also, women who were older and had a very satisfactory relationship status were more likely to have shortened orgasmic latency time, or shortened time to climax. This makes sense, right? Women who are older or been in a relationship that they're happy in can communicate better what they like and understand their bodies a little bit better, so they can reach orgasm more quickly. And as one might expect, longer time to orgasm was associated with distress and difficulty with arousal. Another study published in 2020 actually took it a step further. They recruited women to measure their time to orgasm with a stopwatch over a period of 8 weeks. They recruited 645 women across multiple countries, including the US, UK, Netherlands, and India. And it was estimated that it took somewhere between 6 and 20 minutes for women to reach climax during sex, with the average being 13.4 minutes. And 17% of the women in the study reported never experiencing orgasm. And when asked if penetrative intercourse alone was sufficient for orgasm, the large majority said no. Up to 69% of people needed additional clitoral stimulation to reach orgasm. So I hope this video answered the questions that you're looking for. As always, remember to take care of yourself because you're worth it.
No lies told.
Now, and that one didn't necessarily talk about the number of women that don't at all, but it was talking about the time in which it takes to get there. But obviously it boils down to a woman being familiar with herself and familiar with her partner. You combine two of them things, you're gonna be pretty good. Of course it's fair to say, I mean, I think we were being tongue-in-cheek when we're saying 10% is on the man. I wouldn't say my concern is 10%, but I think just from a vantage point of what a man automatically knows and what a woman should know, the responsibility may only fall to 10%. But concern-wise, I mean, any man should be 100% concerned with whether or not his woman actually gets off. I would assume that that's the case in most cases. I could be wrong, especially in this day and age. In this day and age, no dude wants to be running around just like, shit, hell with it. Hell with it, because this ain't the day and age where women ain't gonna do something about it. This ain't then.
Yeah, post your tail.
Post. You hope that's all.
Tag your body count.
You hope that's all she do is post you, and she's not on another post. She might be on another post. I'm just saying, you know, it goes down like that. Anyway, so listen, y'all, man. Hey, man, we not gonna play games. There's another subject matter we got to get into, and I'm kind of like, here we go again.
Let's get into it. I'm ready for this one.
Here we go again. Russ and Ciara done did something to the internet again. I mean, it is what it is. I get it. We regularly have these things go down. Every time there's a moment with Russ and Ciara, something comes out. Either they getting on Russ for being a simp, or they getting on Ciara for being too much. And it regularly seems to, if it don't break the internet, it regularly cracks social media. And I'm not joking. So I was scrolling through my news feed yesterday. So what's today? Today's Wednesday. Yesterday, I'm not joking, it was every other post. I'm talking about, I scroll and I could not get away from it. In groups, could not get away from it. And obviously, no way we know what it is. It's what she had on. It's what she wore. And a lot of people feel, I'm gonna let y'all give y'all's opinions about what she wore and how y'all feel about it. I will just say very clearly, I kind of just don't. I'm one of them people that. I mean, I wouldn't want my woman doing it, and it's just that. It's just that simple. That wouldn't be my thing. But y'all can all, we can say ladies first, or which one of you fellas want to go first?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
So I saw the picture and I'm like, Lord, here we go again. And it has nothing to do with the whole Russ and Ciara thing, so much as I follow Ciara and she's always freaking naked. And I'm just tired of seeing her naked. It's just that simple for me. So it had less to do with the whole Russ and Ciara thing. However, I kept seeing people bring up the whole Dom thing. And I went back and looked at posts and I was like, you know what? Every time she's out here naked, he right there with her. Every single time. Even on social media when she's dancing on all of these things. So I'm like, you know what? These fools is exhibitionists. Period. Point blank. The more I went back and looked at things, it's like this is purposeful. They do this on purpose. For either one, the media attention, or two, he's just that kind of dude. And it's common, especially in the BDSM world, no matter what type of master slave play, whatever you're doing, it's very common for men to want to display their property because they want other men to be jealous. Okay, I can see that. If that's what's happening, it is what it is. When I went back and also looked at the theme of the whole event, it's like, oh, okay, well, now this makes sense. It's on theme, number one. And then, of course, if Ciara can be naked, she's going to be naked. So it didn't bother me as much of the whole, like, Russell Simp and this, that, and the other. Because at the end of the day, not my monkey, not my circus. They can do whatever they want. They're adults. And, whatever works for them works for them. If he's okay with it, that's all who actually matters. At the end of the day, a lot of women, my woman wouldn't do it. Well, she ain't your woman. She's his, and he's okay with it. And I don't think it has anything to do with her emasculating him so much as he got his property on display.
All right, then. You mentioned something about the Dom concept, and I want to read a post and kind of share a post that spoke on that because I shared that. I had never even. I personally don't follow them ever. I don't see anything they do until somebody posted on social media. However, when I shared this lady's post, she kind of broke it down, and then it did click in my brain. But before I go into that, I want to hear one of you guys' opinion as far as the way you see
it. Okay. Well, I don't know. I have a very nuanced view of it, to be honest with you. I think I'm of the idea that two things could be true at the same time, right? So, yes, he may be the type that likes to show off his woman, and hey, he likes it, I love it type deal. I have a similar nature at times, you know what I'm saying? I don't mind my woman going out in risque type clothing and things like that. Just because I like to look at her, then you know what I'm saying? I don't know, it's one of those things, So I get it. But at the same time, it does make him look a certain way in the public eye. And that's, if he just completely doesn't care, then fine. But, your woman is supposed to make you look good, And so to the extent that she's making him look good, I don't know. I don't know how it looks. Again, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, rich, with a pop star, beautiful girlfriend, or wife rather. Seeing her naked all the time doesn't bother me because she's fucking fine as shit. Okay, versus somebody like Lizzo or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So of course I don't mind seeing her naked. She stayed in great shape. She's 37 years old, stomach on flat. She had kids and everything. So hey, she don't work for it. I get it. I get I don't work for it. It's like, why am I working for it if I'm just not gonna show it off at all type deal? So I'm kind of middle of the road. Like I ain't one of these guys that's like, oh, Russell's a simp and blah blah blah. The truth is that most of us couldn't get a Ciara. We ain't getting Ciara. So what the fuck are we talking about? Like,
whoa,
yeah, like people need to guys need to pipe down, man. If you can't even get that level of woman, then just shut up. You don't have anything to say. And there's a lot of these guys on the internet that's talking all this shit, and it's like you couldn't get Ciara to even look at you. You know what I'm saying? And this dude has her like, you know, as his trophy wife. And yeah, that may be his form of foreplay to where he's just looking at her and watching other guys ogle her and all this stuff all night. And then he takes her home and breaks that thing off because of just the energy that she created by wearing that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, on this, I'm like,
if I can rewind that real quick, because I didn't expect that. I didn't expect him to go off on the dudes to these internet guys
because they talking shit. It's like sometimes you get tired of these guys online, these dating coaches and all these guys, you know, these manosphere talking points, and it's like, all right, but what scores are you actually putting up on the board rather than just sitting here talking shit, spouting your opinion? What does your actual life look like? Okay, who are you actually fucking? And so,
who are you dating?
If it ain't Ciara or anything close to it,
Frank, go ahead. Go ahead.
Did not expect that.
Well, we didn't. He with this one.
Man, honestly, I'm at a point. I don't care. I really don't. At first, I was thinking of it from the perspective of a Christian. That's their whole
stick.
Yeah, it's, man, I don't care. I mean, because, man, if I start talking about that, I'm gonna be talking too long. So I'm not even gonna bring that up. I'm not even gonna.
You talking about the Christian aspect of it?
Yeah, because a lot of people were.
Tap into it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, because I'll lead them off a little bit. A lot of people were using that as the impetus of their criticism. The fact that they are professed Christians, they profess salvation, and then people were trying to say, well, if that's what they claim, how can they move like this? So go ahead,
I agree with that. But go ahead, Frank. I want to hear your thoughts.
Go ahead, Frank. Yeah. Don't dial it back.
That's basically it in a nutshell. The reason why I said I didn't want to get too much into it because we would have to. That's a long rabbit hole to travel down, and that'll create a whole different subject than what we're talking about. So I guess I just summarize it with, if they weren't, like when Russell said when he first got with Ciara, I felt God called me to her to lead her and all that, yada 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 yada. And it's like, okay, what type of leading are you doing? Because the dress isn't up to Christian code conduct. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the exact opposite. So if you're gonna hang your hat on the title of Christianity, then why do you look exactly like the world? Why are you engaging in things that the world engage in? You know what I'm saying? So, but hey, the thing about Christianity is that it's so, since its inception, it was used and abused, and people used it for their own gain, their own interpretation. So if they feel like this is Christianity, then that's on them. If they feel like whatever God they say they follow is cool with this, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it ain't for me. You know, it's too far for me. You know what I'm saying? And it sends mixed signals, and it confuses people, and it makes the faith as a whole look hypocritical. So that was my initial problem with it.
To bolster that point a little bit, it's no different than when we look at what pastors are doing, because they're these examples and they profess to be, and we hold them to a standard and we say, nah, y'all can't get away with doing. You can't be a pastor. We flame pastors up all day for riding in airplanes and jeweled out and decked out and flossing and looking like they just as big as consumers as your pop culture icons, right? So because you stand for something else, once
Pastors
you put that label, it don't matter. No,
Yes,
it don't matter, man. When
does.
any
How is that?
see, they're not
How a
supposed
pastor's
to be.
different? I want to hear that. How a pastor's different?
They're not. Hold on, because I know where she's gonna go. She's gonna go to they're the leaders. No, it don't matter. When you put that label on you, Christian, saint, saved, whatever, there's a certain move you make. Let me just say, let me add this. There's no way in hell you'd see an Islamic wife without the whole Islamic Muslim community going ham. None. It would not fly. So let's not play that game.
I'm interested to hear why Sheffy thinks that pastors are different.
Yeah, I would say, but before you start, Sheffy, I'm gonna say this. A lot of people profess to be Christian and they live however they want to live. Okay, we got that. That's just a profession. That's just, okay, I was raised Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in Jesus. Okay, cool, whatever. But when in the same week you have Russell Wilson and Ciara leading praise and worship, 300 inmates in praise and worship, and then you flip the page and they standing there and she's standing there naked. You're like, hold up. Like, which one is the costume?
Woo. Woo.
So if they didn't actively engage, because leading praise and worship, that's a tool of evangelism. So them being in prison and they are positioning themselves in a leadership role, they're operating in the role of evangelism. That's a Christian ministry.
Agreed. I can agree to that.
So if they didn't participate or engage in any sort of ministry, and they just say, I believe in Jesus, okay, cool, whatever. But the fact that you're engaging in ministry, in service to Christ, and then the next night or however long, whichever one came first, you walking outside naked.
So the one part I think we're forgetting is that this was on theme for the party.
Don't matter.
Yeah, because it's public. See, that's why I made that post I made today. A lot of people saying, well, why do people got something to say about them? I'm like, they're in the public. Nobody gets to go and do anything publicly and expect it to be kept private.
She wasn't
like,
the only one dressed like this, though. That's
no, she wasn't.
But is she the only one that claims that, you know, wears this Christian label and benefits from it in the public perception, and then turns around and does this type of stuff? And I'm still interested to know why you think pastors are different. Still want to hear that.
And I'll come back to that. But one thing I'm going to say in reference to what y'all just said about the whole Christian thing, it should not be a surprise to anybody at this point that Russell and Ciara are hypocrites. It should not be a surprise. She put out a whole song telling women to be independent. Girl, you booed up. Get out our faces. Like, stop. It is no mystery that these two people are opportunistic as fuck. So let's just get that out of the way.
Which is why I need every one of you, and I'm looking at every one of y'all in this camera that had something to say over the last couple of weeks. Why am I talking about Russ and Ciara? Mind your business. You don't get to do anything publicly. I can't have this live and then tell people don't come look at that live and then question anything we got to say. It's public.
Right.
We need to end that period in our whole lexicon. No, anything in the public that somebody, if somebody had to snoop and do a deep dive into your personal life and break some darn walls down to figure out some things. I'm not gonna get that. But the moment you put something in the public space, you no longer have the right of privacy, and people's opinions should be kept to themselves. So people need to kill that nonsense now. Just because you don't like what somebody says, that not shouldn't have something to say. Just don't agree with it and move the hell on. But go ahead and Sheffy.
So on the whole pastors being different thing, so my mom was a pastor. My mom was a reverend. And one thing she talked to me about was when you're called to a place to do certain things, it doesn't mean you suddenly turn into this perfect person, but it does mean you strive to be a better person. Because she said, if I'm going to stand up and talk to people about their sins, I can't be doing the same thing. Like, she wouldn't hang around certain people anymore. She wouldn't go certain places. She stopped. She was a part of the order. She stopped that. She just stopped a lot of things because she's like, I can't sit out here and profess what people should be doing to improve their lives to be better in front of God if I'm not also doing the same work. Now, again, doesn't make them perfect. And I don't agree with the pastors should live in poverty and stuff like that. But at the same time, you have a lot of leaders, and I ain't gonna name no names because we already know who they are, will stand up and preach, you shouldn't be gay, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do this. But the same people you preaching to are the people you sleeping with. I don't understand. So things like
I think what I was referencing though was talking. I think Frank had made mention about pastors buying jewelry, watches, and
I'm fine with that. I mean, your people, if you want to, wear a nice suit.
Nice suit, nice car, one thing.
Well, and that's why I wanted to hear your response, because I'm of the opinion that Black women especially need to uproot from Christianity.
Oh, absolutely.
Uproot.
You will get no argument with me on that.
Because
Christianity or the modern church?
Both.
Listen. I'm gonna say this, man.
Both.
Anybody that's past the age of 25 that still fervently believes in religion or a religion, to me, you haven't gotten to the next level of life and understanding, because it's obvious that if there's multiple religions around this earth, and that any one religion claims to be the one true religion, or the one true way to get here, there, or blah, 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 then this obviously means that none of them are the real thing. And so, that's just on a very common sense level. And with the amount of religions that have come and gone on this earth, okay, if you actually study the history of this earth, and you study the various religions, you'll see that they all have various similarities. They all have certain things like flood stories and creation stories and some type of savior or Jesus type character. And so, we're humans. We all have similarities. And so but religions are man-made. They're man-made. Okay. It is a man that whatever he thought he heard from God or interpreted or whatever, it came through his brain and into the world. And so anytime you have something like, for instance, the Christian God that is supposedly jealous if you worship other gods, what type of God has such a man level emotion?
Well, hold on.
Jealousy.
Let me, and I'm not.
The Greek gods and all of those had those same similarities.
Well, but okay. And so my point is that those are man emotions. Those are emotions that we feel as men. Things like jealousy. Things like, imagine. They say Christianity and Jesus the one true way to heaven. Well, so imagine God created all these other people in all these other regions of the world, only to not put them in heaven. That would be psychotic as hell. I'm gonna create a bunch of children and pretty much because they were born to this family and not this family, they're gonna be damned to hell because they were in the wrong religion. Does that make any common sense to anybody?
Wait, hold on. So pause, because this is now this is a whole nother. This needs to be an entire podcast in and of itself.
That's why I said.
Hold on, that's why he said he don't want to go.
That's why.
Frank started it.
So let me circle back just a little bit. We got to be very careful because, like you said, there's multiple religions. They all, many claim to be the one and true one. What we have to understand is that when we talk about the Abrahamic faiths, that means Judaism, Christianity, Islam. We talk about the Abrahamic faith. When we talk about them, they're family, right? But they all start with a God that created man in his image. So I think that whether it's metaphor, allegory, however you want to spin it, that explains why those characteristics are similar with men. Now, I'm not saying
it goes well beyond the Abrahamic.
No, it does. No, because look, like I said, this is deep because then we got to get into theology, and none of us are theologians. Then we got to get into mythology, and then separate the two. There's a lot that goes with it. I personally wouldn't say that anybody needs to give up their faith, and because you don't have to give up your faith to function in this world and be successful with your faith. Now, when you're locked in a faith and you can't see where it applies and where it may not, or you can't see that the church you're in, not the faith, you can't see that the church you're in has a dogmatic perspective that has nothing to do with your faith.
But if this faith can be so easily, if this faith,
the problem, people can't separate that.
No,
you can have a relationship with
people,
God without being in any sort of
Let's be fair. Some people can't separate.
Most people.
I don't care if it's most. Then they need to work on them. But it's very difficult to tell people separate yourself from a belief system. And I'm agnostic, so this ain't my monkey. This ain't my
no.
But separate yourself from a belief system when in fact the belief isn't the issue. The dogmatic perspective of the leaders and the peddlers of the supposed truth are the issue.
It's not an issue. It's an inevitability. See, when you have something that's set up in the way that, let's say, the Christian religion is set up, it's inevitable that people are going to take advantage of it. It has too many holes in it. It has too many things that are left up to interpretation.
Well, let's be clear. There is not a single thing man created or man managed that is not taken advantage of. It ain't a single one.
So then that's where you have to start to understand that, okay, well, if that's the case, then the likelihood that there's one true religion, this or that. Now, does it mean that you don't believe in a higher power or this or that? I believe in a higher power, but I don't necessarily have an elementary understanding of where we come from and all this stuff based on these stories and all this stuff, these creation stories and all this stuff. That's like for children. It's for children. So it's my belief that once you get past, I don't know, let's just say 30, 35, whatever it is. Once you get past a certain age, it's like, come on, man, use your common sense. Understand that they needed to use that in order to get people in line and to get everybody on a certain, thinking and operating in a certain morality. But you have to be able to see past that so you can move past the dogmatic stuff and move past all this stuff. Because listen, you go on my channel right now, one of the popular stories is 18-year-old young lady that was dropped off in Atlanta from Chicago. On the day that her and her twin brother, the day that they turned 18, her foster parents put them in the car at 5 a.m, drove them 14 hours from Chicago to Atlanta to be in a homeless shelter. Her mom is a pastor, and they are Bible thumpers, huge Bible thumpers. And this is how they treated these kids.
Unfortunately,
that's how they treated those kids. That's not the faith.
Uncommon though, Frank. That's what he's saying. It's
no. Wait.
And for every story of every horrible,
they walk around waving the flag. They walk around waving the flag. So it's like you got people that are good people that are quiet Christians that do good work that don't necessarily walk around just waving the flag, and then you got people that walk around waving the flag, exclaiming their Christianity. And those are some of the worst people.
They really are.
And so when you and they're almost allowed to be that way because they're covered by this idea that they're the good people because they're Christians.
And they're the people. Tell me what part of the faith, the actual faith, will motivate them to do that?
Well, so
the part where they say Jesus will forgive them, no matter what, and that as long as they profess Jesus' name, they're gonna be able to go into heaven. So all you gotta do is say his name. So you can do a bunch of BS.
No. See that?
Please, Jesus, I pray.
No. Okay. So this is the subject that we need to go into because it's way too deep.
Yeah, because that's what we're talking about. That's dogma. That's dogma right there because that is patently false. Like you can't just do that. Like
the dogma is more prevalent than the actual religion, though. If you really look at it, and that's why I don't celebrate these
therein lies, and that's what I'm saying. Therein lies the problem. I wanted to I separate from anything. I separate the dogma from politics. I separate the dogma from science. The dogmatic perspective in anything that has a root belief and people that follow, if you don't separate the dogma from it and realize that's dogmatic and that's what they actually believe, or that's what's real, or that's their faith, or that's their following. If you don't separate those two, it's easy to conflate them all into one group and then say this is what it is. We need to get rid of it.
They use the Bible to claim that we were cursed, and that was one of the justifications for them being able to enslave us.
Well, see, we won't do that. We won't do that because I'm gonna say this here. Don't listen. See,
yeah,
now y'all.
It's too much for the day. We weren't ready.
Wait,
I ain't ready.
Don't get me started on Islam. Do you want to talk about the Islamic slave trade? Like, bro, every dominating culture has used. Dude, it was, bro. Y'all gonna get me talking about.
So did they use their faith to justify it?
Absolutely,
absolutely. All religions do it,
bro.
So then, what does that say about religion?
No. See, no, it's not.
That says everything about man.
It's about the man. No, wait.
That says everything about man.
I'm pretty sure I just won the argument.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Debate over, fool.
No, you didn't. No, because I'm gonna tell you why you didn't win the argument. Because Cyrus the Great, who we actually have the idea of democracy, that the Greeks, the Romans, and the United States founding fathers all believe in. This idea that all nations should be able to, all people should operate in a nation with their own religious viewpoint and not be persecuted. That didn't come from anybody but Cyrus the Great is. Do you know who Cyrus the Great is? This is the person that came way before Alexander, the Persian king, Cyrus the Great. Google it. He is the king of kings. He's actually the king of antiquity. He's spoken about in the Bible. This man's idea, way back in Zoroastrianism, way before all these other things, said to himself, we can conquer nations and we can combine kingdoms without persecuting people and telling them who they're supposed to worship. So you don't have to enslave people. You don't have to dominate people with your religious view. It just took a few different emperors, kings, and conquerors who said to themselves, you know what I do want to use? I do want to use religion. So once again, that's the man. It's no different than Oppenheimer, who created the splitting of the atom, and after the fact, he realized, holy shit, I just created the atom bomb. It's not the religion, it's not the facility, it's not the science, it's not the education, it's the man every time.
That's fair.
Nah, I don't know, man, because
shit. Boy, we're gonna come back to this one because I cook.
Yeah,
let's come back to this one.
We're all right.
Let's come back to this one.
All right. The next one we got. Oh man, this one, Sheffy. You might be on. You won't have to defend this because this is this is your wheelhouse. This is your.
Oh
wheelhouse.
yeah.
So I think y'all know where I'm going. Monique recently. Monique, the
comedian,
the woman, the comedian. Recently, y'all know at one point in time she spoke about having an open relationship. She's recently changed her perspective on that, or there's recently been more to say about it. I want to share that, and I want Sheffy to give her thoughts on this after, because I think the question at the end of this segment is something that needs to be answered. Hold on now.
Well, let's move it on to Monique. Now, this is very interesting to me. Now, she says she has grown out of her open relationship with her husband, Sydney Nix. Now, they've been married since 2006, and she's been very open about their relationship. Now, in an interview in 2016, she explained that she wasn't ready to stop dating other men, so she took that behavior right on into the marriage. And since Sydney was her best friend, she explained it to him, and he was cool with it. This is what she said.
When you have an open relationship, those are the ones that seem to last longer. When you have a closed relationship, those are the ones that seem to shut down quickly. That's
now,
what
how
I
do you
will
define
say.
open?
What I define as open is there is not one thing I will take with me when I go to the next journey that my husband doesn't know. There's nothing he will take with him when he goes to his next journey that I don't know. That's what we mean by open. Everybody automatically assumed it was all of this wild flowing sex. We just having orgies and swinging parties. That's not
Well,
who we.
when you hear open relationship, that's what you think.
Right, that's what you think because you're small-minded. So your mind can't take you anywhere else but straight to that.
Now, by her definition, an open relationship isn't about sex. It just sounds like an open line of communication.
Well, not necessarily, because this is what she said. I mean, she's opening it up. It includes other things, but she was in a relationship with someone she did not want to let go, and it was a sexual relationship. She said Sydney had one thing he had to teach me, and that was this word right here is killing me. What's this?
Reciprocation?
Reciprocity is what she was trying to say, y'all.
Reciprocity. No.
Of course, ain't nobody involved in the pack, yo.
Goodness gracious.
She fine as hell, though.
Not
Reciprocity.
That's all right. We're going to let that go. But basically, if you can do it, I can do it. All right, but we're going to keep on with the quote. Now she took a shot at the word. All right. Now he said, if you can have that, it's only fair that I can have it too. I want to continue. She said she wanted to continue seeing the gentleman she was seeing, and I felt comfortable telling my husband, Hicks, I'm grateful he taught me that she had to play fair. But see, now she's saying that it's changed. She's now has a whole another outlook on their relationship. She said, life began to happen. I began to see a strength I have never seen before. He loved me at my worst. I didn't want to sacrifice that for a lay, so I grew out of that.
I'm still so confused, Portia. Is this about sex or about open lines of communication? Which one is it?
It sounds like there was also an emotional relationship that was going on with the ex, including sex. What it is we put value on the sex part, because when we think of an open relationship, first thing we think of is you're not about to have sex with nobody else.
Yeah.
You don't think of cheating of, you have an emotional tie with someone else. What she's saying is it was all wrapped up into one. But now she values every part of her husband, and she don't want to share none of it. She don't want to share her heart with nobody else, because he been there for her. And it feels like she is, just betraying him at this point. Sex is not a big deal to Monique. Hasn't been a big deal to her or her husband.
But I wonder how that works, because they went into this relationship knowing it's an open relationship, so he might, whatever is open on his side.
How we know sex not a big deal to them, though?
She the one asked. I'm not saying it's not a big deal. It's not where she's putting her focus.
Oh, gotcha.
It wasn't a big deal. So having a lay with another man was just a stimulation to her, what it sounds like. It was really about her sharing herself, and spiritually it sounds like she wants to give it all.
But how does
to
that
her
work?
husband.
Now, let's say he still wants an open relationship, but she doesn't want it, so now he gotta move on and come back.
That's Pandora's box, because see, she was the one who introduced the open relationship. He then agreed.
Agreed, and now whatever he got on the side, whatever he doing. Now we want to stop.
Can we just agree that when she say no, he got to agree with that? It is what it is.
Is that fair to him?
It's not fair, but he done had all these years of doing what he want. Be grateful for that.
I might not be ready to close. I might want to stay open. That's all I'm saying. I'll tell you this. I think we need to open up the phones next hour, because I've been wondering, do open relationships really work for people?
Okay.
Sheffy, I want you to kind of, so that is the danger, and that is the question, I guess, to a certain degree. Do these open relationships actually if she opened it up, isn't there some danger in trying to shut it down? Is it always going to work out like that?
So no, not all open relationships work. And a lot of it is based around lack of information and lack of communication. When people think open relationship, they do think, oh, you just out there trying to fuck everybody. No, an open relationship means I can have other relationships with people, not just sex. Relationships include emotions, and most people are not prepared to share emotions with other people. So when they find out, oh, wait, you got an emotional connection with somebody, that's when things become a problem. So, again, that's this whole fantasy of, oh, we have a relationship, an open relationship, I can do whatever I want. But emotions still come in. We're still human beings. We still have to be able to navigate the differences between the multiple people we're dealing with and their feelings as well. And if they're dealing with multiple people. So all of these things, I don't think a lot of people go into an open relationship really thinking about the overall effect. And that is what causes most of them not to work. I don't know of any open relationship that has lasted past a few years. The ones that do are typically where the people are older. They're probably in their late 40s, early 50s. They're typically much more sexually expressive. They may be swingers. They're inviting other partners in the room. Somebody's bisexual. Those are the times when I've seen it work, usually with older folks. But those older folks, a lot of them have been married 20 some odd years. And they're at a point where it's like, we haven't explored some things. Let's introduce some new things. And this is how they come about it. But by then, they've known each other so well that they can operate in that vein without having a lot of problems that some of the younger people have and some of the newer people that are entering the lifestyle are dealing with. When you can't manage your own emotions in a regular ass relationship, why the fuck you gonna add another one?
So
that's where problems come in.
So I got a question then. They said that Monique invited the concept. She jumped it off. And now she wants to shut it down. And let's say he doesn't agree. What happens at that point?
I think that's very selfish, to be honest.
For who? For Monique or the other
person? For her. Because you open the concept, you've had your fun, now you want him to just jump and done. That's not really fair. You may say, okay, I'm shutting it down on my side. You shut it down on your side when you feel the need. That's how I would operate, because that's what's fair. Okay. If we had an agreement in the beginning that if either of us is uncomfortable, we'll shut it down together, then that's that agreement.
That's not what they had.
No, and that's what they're saying. They're saying that's not what they had, and that's why I was
asking. If you never had that, girl, you just better sit at the house while he do what he do.
No, that's not gonna happen either. Listen. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened here. Tell you exactly what happened.
The other dude stopped messing with her.
Classic wannabe alpha female. Getting with a complete beta. Okay, Sydney is a complete beta. Okay, you got some dude running through. You got an ex, so you done married this woman, and her ex Pookie, whoever he is, that probably got 12 inches and thumbing her down. You know what I'm saying? The whole time while she's all big, proud to be a big girl. Remember, these skinny bitches and this, that, and the third, and blah blah blah. Right? That was when she was red hot. So guess what? She's red hot. She's bringing in all this money. You're a beta male nobody. And so you're going to take whatever shit she gives you. That's what happened. And now let me tell you what happened. She got blacklisted. The money went down. And guess what happened to her side dick? Pew, gone. Side dick started to not be as attractive. She probably couldn't break them off. The money that she was breaking them off before.
No,
so now the side dick ain't there like that no more. Or the sex just got to be like, because her situation was fucked up, so she's just not in the same headspace. So now that the situation got fucked up, now you want to end the open relationship because you was blacklisted, your checks was getting low, and now the situation probably went left with the side.
Like 8 years ago, she just ended the open relationship like a few months ago.
Listen, Monique still is low key.
Yeah, he's saying it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, so she's talking about what already happened. And so what I'm telling you exactly how it happened and why. And it's 100% that he's a beta male that has to do whatever the hell she tells him to.
Hold on, read what my cousin said. He said, my cousin said, I think he started moving in the circle she was moving in, and he became more attractive to other women. And it's not cool when the rabbit has the gun.
I told you, it typically turns into classic jealousy in open relationships. and one partner is getting more attention than the other
and
one.
I think two things can be true.
One typically wants to shut it down.
I think two things can be true in this case. What Marcus is saying, it's a both. It's like the perfect storm. Like he said, she got black. Her career took a dive. All these things start to culminate at one time, and she's probably sitting there thinking like, wait. He's still living a life while I'm trying to figure it out. I want to now. I want to cling to my man, and I want to shut this down. But like Chef said, that's selfish as hell. That's downright.
He doesn't have a choice. He's a beta male. That's what happens when you get with these alpha male. Man, look, don't get me started.
And my cousin said the same thing. We never knew who he was until they got together.
This is true.
Frank, don't get quiet. See, look, when we get into these,
Frank will be like, I ain't got nothing to say.
we get into these open relationships. Matter of fact, hold on, and you know what? I'm tripping. I'm totally tripping because that also brings me back to I meant to talk about it earlier, but that also brings me back to the whole concept of Russ being a dom, since this is kind of lifestylist. I want to kind of go to that a little bit. So let me put that up on the ticket. Is Russ a dom? What Marcus said earlier in the conversation is kind of what dawned on me when this lady shared a post, and I'm going to find the post, and I kind of want to read her post because her post is what genuinely gave me the thought. So this ain't an original thought. This ain't something I was sitting back thinking about. I literally was scrolling social media as I'm doing from time to time, and this lady shared this particular thing, and I was like, man, there's something to what she's saying. I'm going to find the post real quick. Here it is. And it says, y'all keep talking about Ciara and wishing on her and Russell Wilson's downfall. They are good. None of us know what goes on in these folks' marriage. A lot of y'all look at Russell and Ciara a certain way because you need someone to project your bitterness, insecurities, and limited perceptions onto for your own personal reasons. I'll tell you one thing. Russell is turning his wife out for him. Y'all can say what y'all want. Ciara is never dressed like this as well. Some of the tamer, more playful things she does is her rediscovering her old style musically and fashion-wise as an evolved version of herself. And the more risque stuff is her discovering and playing with her feminine range as a married woman. It kind of talks about what Marcus mentioned. I'm going to repeat that again. And the more risque stuff is her discovering and playing with her feminine range as a married woman. And the reason I mentioned Marcus is because he dropped that and said, when it came to his dating and relationship life, he was okay and comfortable with risque attire that his woman might wear. Back to this lady's post though. Her husband inspires and covers her in that, and I strongly believe he influences. Their foreplay with each other publicly. I've said this before. Russell Wilson is not corny. Russell Wilson is a dom. A lot of you dudes just don't know what that looks like because y'all are not. Y'all need to get off Ciara's back and study Russell. Now, I will back up and say two things can be true. This man can very well be a dom, and he can very well be the corniest motherfucker.
Corny, yes.
They can absolutely be both. They can absolutely be both.
He's definitely corny.
Yeah, and it's okay. And so my thoughts on that was, I won't put a lot of me and my wife's business out there, but what you see on the surface is not what the case is in a lot of cases. And in a lot of relationships, that's just not the case. We don't know what people dabble into behind closed doors. Now, I will put something else out there. So years and years ago, and I think I said this on another post, I found that I was comfortable with my ex working the room to the tune of flirting. And it didn't move me one way or another because I knew, one, dudes ain't gonna try me. I'm the height that I am. I'm the weight that I am. If I'm not a threat, really, you at least physically think I might be. It's up to anybody who wants to find out. but I'm confident in the lines that are drawn in any given space. So when me and my ex we used to go out and we used to sit at the bar and some dude was looking and checking, I kept some dude eyeing a little hard, and I would kind of tap her and she would look over and she would wave or wink or something, and all of a sudden, dude's trying to figure out what the hell went on. He's trying to figure out what was going on with this couple. And then so she speaks to him, he speaks to us. You know, he asked me, then at that point he asked me, well, you mind if I dance? I'm like, all right, bro, dance on. I know how she's gonna move dancing, so I'm comfortable. By the end of that, he come over there, well, let me, what you guys drinking? Let me get you guys tab. Whole tab paid for. We were sitting there in those moments, then the couple sitting next to us looking at us like,
the fuck?
what y'all about? The couple sitting next to us, they started engaging in conversation, then they want to buy us drinks. So we finally decide we want to shut the night down. The couple try to hurry up and get us going out the door, like, hey, what y'all doing next? Oh, we finna go take care of business. Well, we want to know if y'all wanted to come, like, no, whoa. We just be playing. This ain't that kind of party. You know, and so
y'all been quit playing with folks like that.
Right. But they'll take you home with your upside down pineapple.
But look, you stupid. But see, I had in my mind, it was a motivational thing for me to be more dominant, to sit there and watch you flirt. Like, it was like Michael Jordan's psyche. Oh, you sitting there talking about me. You being disrespectful right now. Oh, you gonna disrespect me like, oh, okay, I'm gonna deal with that later. You see what I'm saying? And so I understand that. So when I read that lady's post, I'm like, they absolutely can be publicly just doing their thing, not caring a damn about who does what. And like Margaret said, he can be looking at that woman because, like he said, Ciara is fine. She is looking good. She can pull that off. And he's sitting there the whole time like, I got to wait through all these hours and all these lights and all these bright lights and red carpets.
The best kind of foreplay. I ain't gonna cap.
He said he be sitting there.
Look. When listen, you know, same way. Right? I ain't gonna put all my business out there, whatever. But I definitely, especially when we got into fitness and everything else, I definitely would enjoy seeing my ex out in certain type of clothing. I would even buy it for her to wear out. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it was just it was only certain places, right? It wasn't like, you know, just out and about where kids and picnics and, you know, all type of stuff is gonna be. But, you know, we're going out, it's a little night spot or whatever. Hey man, I haven't put on something risque, you know, and because all that's gonna do is just gonna make the sex so much better when we get home, you know.
Look at Frank's face. Look at Frank's face.
Frank is different though. Frank says he's never jacked off. Like, what the hell is that?
Frank business on the live like that.
Frank's sitting there like, I don't even know these niggas, man. I don't know who these dudes are. But that it's a thing.
It is.
It's a thing. So and shout out to Saucy Spice. She came on to a live with us before. And she had some good times with us, and that was her idea. And again, I had never thought of it, looked at it. I just don't look beyond that. Now let me be frank. So y'all women that's on that damn post of mine that I shared, I knew it. He basically Dorian Gray, 50 Shades of us. Shut up. Quit extending your damn fantasies that far. Now y'all gonna be running around thinking about the most.
50 Shades of Grey is so damn vanilla. It's
ridiculous. Thank you.
Don't even play with me. If 50 Shades of Grey is your litmus test, don't come around me because I promise you, you will not hang.
Because the real life will have them. The real life stuff will have them in anxiety if they think 50 Shades of Grey is supposed to be.
Man, they be done clutch their pearls so hard it pop.
Yeah, it can't. Yeah, So I'm not trying to say that. Yeah, Russ is still corny, and that's okay. And it's okay for Russ to be corny. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with being corny.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. And the last on the Russ thing, man, his corniness was not based on the fact that this man wanted a wife and kids. His corniness was talked about when he first got drafted, when he just did not fit in with them street dudes and them hard dudes that was part of the Seattle Seahawks. Marshawn and them guys, those guys that were the face of that franchise, they were all dread heads. They were all loud talking. They were all looking like they look like they just got finished shooting dice on the corner. And then when Russ came in there like Carlton Banks, hey guys, how's it going? That's
why
what people
Denver
were
don't
talking
like his
about.
ass.
Yeah, that's what people were talking about. People weren't talking about this man getting married, being a husband, and being responsible with his life. That's not what people ever were talking.
Well, no, but I think
No, it
that
was people talking
I
about
think
that.
that I think that it
Him
came
treating
in
her
when it
like
came to because that's like old girl just said on your post. Russ turned Ciara out. No, she dealt with Future. She dealt with 50 Cent. She dealt with Bow Wow. Like she dealt with all these, you know what
Bow
I'm
Wow
saying,
ain't turned
stars
nobody
or
out.
whatever. Like
Bow Wow
trust
ain't
me.
turned nobody
Ain't
out.
tall
Bow
enough to
Wow,
turn
wait, Bow Wow. We can give 50 Cent and Future some credit. Don't Bow Wow ain't turned nothing out.
He ain't do nothing.
Bro, I bet Bow Wow has smashed way more fine bitches than anybody on this panel, bro.
He should. I mean,
Okay.
he should.
I mean, he's been an
not
artist
credit
since
to
he
him.
was like
Yeah,
10. I would
yeah,
hope so.
that's not credit to him. I mean, Flavor Flav too.
Ugh.
Yes, Flavor
I
Flav.
guess, man. I guess, but Bow Wow, you got to understand. Some of these women grew up worshiping Bow Wow.
And yeah,
That's a different level, man. I don't think y'all. Y'all got to put some respect on Chad's name now. I ain't no Bow Wow fan, nothing,
He
but I'm
ain't
just
still
saying.
vanilla as a bucket of ice cream in the bed now. I mean, you got
Could
plenty
be.
dudes out here
Could
getting
be, especially when you've never had to prove yourself, right? If you've always just gotten away with just being this guy, and so I could see where celebrities might lack in that regard. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
All right, so there was a one of you guys shared. Who shared that?
I shared that.
The one with the older woman. Yes. So this older sister has a TikTok, and she shares a TikTok of what younger women are saying about older women.
You gonna share it?
That old lady so cat.
I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share it.
You just talking about Monique?
Yeah.
Nah, this is the light skinned chick that was on the on the thing or whatever.
No, no. Okay.
Oh, you say are we done talking about Monique?
We been done.
I mean,
unless you had to say something, Sam.
Unless you wanted to jump in there.
I'm just gonna say for me personally, and when with all this stuff y'all freaking niggas be doing. Thing is, man, I look at like some ingredients only. You know, some people only need salt and pepper, but when you start adding Mrs. Dash, seasoned salt, garlic powder,
onion powder,
and all this stuff into it's gonna be off. So in this department, I like my salt and pepper. So I ain't trying to blow up. You know what I'm saying? It's like I ain't trying to take away. I ain't trying to add too much.
I say give it time.
I might throw a little minced garlic in there every now and then.
Give it time.
But I ain't trying to put the whole cabinet.
Add a little slap your mama.
Give it. So my thought.
Tabasco, maybe a little distilled vinegar.
Look, and nothing's wrong with that. But I always say, man, sex is this spectrum, bro, and you don't know what's gonna tickle your fancy until all of a sudden you see something, or you observe something, or you have an experience with something, and then it's all of a sudden like, wait a minute, I like that right there. Let's go down. Let's go down there. I'm gonna say this, man. If you go into a life,
with seasoning, it's talking about people. So we were talking about Monique.
Okay. You talking about people? Okay, people. You mean adding? Oh, okay. Bet. Okay, I got you. Then at that, because every man's fantasy ain't a threesome. Every man's idea ain't to have multiple women. You got some men out here who literally only want to deal with one and one at a time, and I can respect that. All right, so so I'm gonna share this video. I'm gonna let her talk. Mark said she's capping, so I'm gonna let him go get her. I'm gonna let him go get her when she's
done. I saw this video circulating of this young lady talking about middle-aged women, and we mad, mean, miserable, and lonely, right? And that we missed our opportunity to have a good man. And that's why we out here, we just lonely. First of all, let me just clear something up, right? Majority of us middle-aged women, because I consider myself a middle-aged woman. I'm 46 years old. A lot of us are single by choice. Not because we missed our opportunity, but just for the simple fact that the caliber of men that's out here now, to me, in my opinion, are not even worth dating or having a relationship with. And the fact that a lot of you young girls, because a lot of y'all are 20 years younger than me, but you look like you're my age. And that's because you living hard. You know, you doing the age that you are now versus the age we were back then. You all are doing way more for way less with these men. Extremely big difference in the mentality of the men when I was your age versus the mentality of the men now that you all are with. We're not missing out on nothing. You know what I mean? You all are the ones that's out here feeling, you know, the pressures of social media. So you out here, you know, posting flowers that you bought for yourself. You done took a trip that you paid for on your credit card. You still waiting on him to pay your credit card off. We didn't have to do all of that. See, the men back in my day, you know, when I was your age, they put us in cars, paid cash for cars, put us in cars, put us in cribs. If we already had our own apartment, they paid the rent up for 6 months. You all not getting that. But you claim that we mad and miserable and lonely. We deal with men when we feel like it. You all feel this social pressure from social media to post all of this fake narrative like you in this happy relationship. Us older, us middle-aged women, we know how to get, you know, what we need and push them on to the side, tell them to get gone. Y'all want to move them in, you know, let them sleep, you know, in a house that you got on your own. He not even contributing. He not paying no bills, really. You footing the whole relationship. But the fact that you can be on pictures with this man, and I'm going to tell you something else. All the stuff that you post and everything that you got, that you claiming that he bought, but you really bought yourself, you ain't doing shit but giving him the attention of about 10, 20 other women because they feeling like he didn't bought this for you. He could do it for them. You giving these men way more action and attention than if you were just to fuck with him on your time and terms and keep him a secret and let him get on about his business. We don't feel that need to do that. We get what we need from them because we, you know, at the end of the day, we all know the best action or the best sex comes from the worst type of man. Another major difference in us middle-aged women versus you young girls is the simple fact that the things that we acquired when we were dealing with those men that were taking care of us, buying us cribs, buying us cars, you know, a lot of us are still benefiting from those investments from back then. Where y'all gonna be 20 years from now? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just recently sold a house that was bought for me from a guy that I dated, you know, and I put that money in my Navy Federal and flipped it into a Navy Federal CD, earning 4.5% interest on that money that's just sitting there while I'm waiting on the market to crash so I can go buy me a duplex. You understand what I'm saying? We make better moves with our money. But you have the nerves to sit up here and say that we mad and miserable and lonely. How? Y'all out here pretending to be cared for by a man that don't give a shit about you. Half of y'all are out here wouldn't have men if you wasn't spending money. It's just like y'all getting pimped and played.
Boy, Mark is stewing over there.
Go
over there.
So Mark,
because it's wholly ridiculous. Like
at all.
So for one thing, congratulations. She's a light skin, long hair. Looks like she, you know what I'm saying, was a little hot little thing back in the day, right? So of course you had some older guys. I'm sure it wasn't guys her same generation. I'm sure you had older guys buying you stuff, paying for things or whatever. The caveat is that everybody doesn't look like her. And then she's completely projecting for whoever young person she was kind of subliminally talking to, and talking about how all these women are doing all this stuff to have these guys. No, that's just not true. Again, let's actually look at the numbers. Most Black women don't make a lot of money. Okay, 75. I think I stated this last time. 75% of Black women make under $50,000 a year. Only 9% of Black women make over $75,000 a year. So let's stop this cap ass narrative that all these women out here balling and just taking care of all these dudes. That's the minority. So what she's speaking to isn't even a majority situation. She's talking about her own little things that she's seeing in her world. And so no, listen, if this is what middle-aged women want to try to rest their laurels on, but I would surmise to say that most middle-aged women didn't get houses and all this stuff when they was dating younger, to have all these investments and all this crap. So really, she's just talking about her own personal life, and she's talking to a very small subset of women who have the money to kind of buy these Pookie and Ray Ray type boyfriends.
I would hold on, Jeffrey, before you go in, I would also say if she is her, she probably also has those in her peer group that move similarly. So again, an individual's bubble can shape their reality. So she might have one or two homegirls that have also done the same thing, just like I have homeboys. I don't know deadbeat dad. I don't know them.
Right. So, I get it.
So in her world, this might be somewhat of a reality, but when she speaks that loudly, it sounds like bullshit, because we know good well majority of y'all in the 80s, 90s, wherever you come from. If
they was dumb as hell.
They was so
they get bust down for a cheeseburger.
Who's Fran for the Corner? Y'all remember the show The Corner? Fran for the Corner was a whole junkie. Come on, man. Let's stop playing. let's stop playing like we can't have that narrative as us women back in the day used to, when y'all are the mothers of the men that we have issues with today, and y'all are flipping houses and doing some of the things that we're thinking about. So
tell them. Like, created the very men they talking about.
So I don't necessarily agree with some of the stuff she says about women our age. I'm not quite her age. I'll be 42 this year. Definitely ain't had nobody buying me no houses and paying rent and all of that stuff. However, the stuff she says about the young girls, absolutely true. The rate of homosexuals age 20 to 30 men has fucking skyrocketed. And no, these women don't make a lot of money, but they still taking care of these men. I know girls 23, 24, like they came into some money after a parent died or something. They bought a little small house or something, and they moved that man in. That man don't keep a job. That man got to play on PlayStation all day. He always got some fresh weed. He always got some liquor. He always got stuff, but ain't never got no job. These young girls in their 20-somethings are absolutely taking care of these men.
My cousin said, I'm in a single women group. It's a lot of them taking care of men, but your circle does matter, because even when she was younger, her circle was probably doing the same thing. And she said and then she says, it was shocking when I got in there. The common sense is lacking. Okay, so
these young women are getting rolled hard and put away wet by these dudes.
Now look,
these guys are going from house to
house. They was doing that back in the day too, though. That wasn't something that's been going on.
Again, I didn't say they didn't do it back in the day. It has skyrocketed. I promise you.
So listen, I want to be. Let's think about something now. And I don't know if this is a cultural thing about the whole group that's younger than us, but I hate to be this, because I'm not the old man. I don't want to be the old man.
We are.
But I don't want to use this concept. But I'm looking, bro. When I look at, it saddens me when I see a 20-something, and then I see a 30 or 40-something, and the 30 or 40-somethings are looking more well kept and not as beat down as some of these women that are younger. I'm talking about beat. Like, I don't know if I don't know if it's what's in the weed. I don't know if it's the opioids. I don't know if it was the pills. I don't know if it's the alcohol. I don't know if it's a combination of trying to live fast when you can't, because social media makes you feel like you have to. But it's like, maybe it's the water, maybe it's the food. But some of these young girls be looking aged, bro. Some of them be looking aged. Some of them look aged. And so
I don't see it.
See it.
I don't see it. I mean, I may come across one every now and again, but for the most part, if I see a 25-year-old, she looks like a 25-year-old. But
I'm surprised that the women passing their debit and credit cards under the table so he can pay for their meal at a restaurant. It happens so
It just
often.
doesn't line up with the numbers. So I hear y'all, but the average black man still doesn't want to ask black woman.
The numbers aren't going to speak for that. The numbers aren't going to speak for which women are paying.
Chicks making $12 an hour.
They're not making a lot of money. That's the whole thing. They're not making a lot of money. Yeah.
Like these chicks ain't got no bread. They're not making good money.
But whose fault is that? They learn how to do that from their mama.
Right. Who taught them that?
They mama.
No, I can tell you exactly who taught
they mama.
Nope. I was one
they
of
mama.
Women. Nope. I was one of those women. My first real boyfriend after I got to be an adult, I took care of him, paid his child support, the whole nine.
Why?
Because you didn't have a whole lot of options.
No, it had nothing to do with options. It had everything to do with I didn't have a man in the household to tell me not to.
Okay.
It literally.
If you had the option of a guy that had stuff and this, that, and the third, then it wouldn't have even been a thing that you would have even considered.
You don't think about that kind of stuff. Then it had nothing to do.
You know
with
what?
You could give me. I want literally. This man is giving me attention.
So can I say this? And I don't mean to be. I'm gonna say something that's gonna be a little bit disruptive, okay? And again, Sheffy, you know, I've come to love you, all right? But I'm gonna be real. Overweight. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is an overweight woman thing.
No.
This is mostly an overweight woman thing.
Hold on, wait.
This is when I was 21, sir. Right. Stop playing with me.
Hold on, wait. I'm gonna go into another one. I want to say the sister's name. I will share her profile with you later, Marcus, if you want to see. Very attractive woman. And she said to me, we kind of had it wrapped. And she said to me, when I was younger, I gave the most effort to the man that gave me the most attention. That was like her. That was her vetting process.
That's it, and there.
And when she said that, I said, and I know what she looks like. And I said, where's your dad? She said, well, I had a stepdad. She was like, but he didn't tap in. So I said, so nobody looked at you and said, let me give this girl some game. She said, nobody pulled me aside. She said, there was no man there. Nobody pulled me aside and said, baby girl, this is the checklist for men. And that when, I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't know that it exists. Sometimes I got to hear that to believe it. And of course, by default, this woman ends up, because I think what happens is women biologically are nurturers, right? When you're biologically living in what you're going to do is nurture, you don't know when to turn that shit off. You don't know that there's a dude out there that you don't have no business nurturing, because you can't nurture a boy to manhood. A boy has to be raised to manhood among men. Frank, get in here, man. So
then this is a cultural. This is a cultural issue.
Dynamic. It's cultural.
I was bodybuilding at the time. I wasn't overweight, baby. I was in the amateur circuit at the time, so don't play with me.
What division?
I was out of Statesboro at the time. This is in 19.
No. I'm asking bikini. You look like you might have done physique.
I started in physique, but I couldn't get my booty tight enough, so I quit. Anyway,
I would have loved to see that untight.
Oh booty. Shit! Here you go. See, I knew.
I still got it. I can go in the gym and throw some weights. It ain't nothing. Anyway. This man also, my left eye to this day is weaker than my right, because that man also used to beat me. But after every time he whooped my ass, he would apologize. I'm so sorry. He's nurturing. He's taking care of me. It was the most toxic relationship I've ever been in. The most mind-blowing sex ever. I mean, we was going at it 6-7 times a day, easy. And that's what it boiled down to. I had an entire stretch of life where I didn't have a father figure at all to even guide me. My grandmother telling me men ain't shit, but here's this guy giving me attention. He's making me feel good.
That's literally the same thing.
So even when he made me feel bad, he could turn around and make me feel good. So I put up with that foolishness for 2.5 years. And it had nothing to do with, I had plenty options. He wasn't the only guy. I mean, this man beat me outside of Morris Brown at band practice one day. And the dude that was trying to holler at me, like, what the fuck? He come up trying to fight. And I'm like, no, leave him alone, leave him alone. I protected him because he gave me attention. It is pure emotional and mental when a girl, and I stress this especially with men who have daughters, when you are not in that girl's life, she will go through an entire stretch of life trying to figure out how to navigate men because she ain't never had one around.
Trying to fill that void. But okay, so then it is obviously then it's a cultural thing because a lot of our women grow up like that. So the question becomes, why wasn't your dad in your life? Did he pass or something? Or
my mom was an addict when they got married.
Grandma Chef.
And at 6 weeks old, she pretty much told my grandfather that she didn't love me, and I ended up with my grandparents. My grandfather was a military. Well, my father was military too. My grandfather was an alcoholic. So here I am, 4 years old, trying to tell this man to stop drinking and stop spending all the money because we can't eat because he goes spend the money on Seagrams. That was his thing. So these are the role models I had. My uncles hitting on me at 10 years old.
Yeah,
this is what I grew up in. I didn't have any type of male safety whatsoever.
And a lot of our women grow up in situations like that. I became aware of the prevalence of it in our community when I started my channel. And when I continue to get story after story after story after story of what you just said. What you just said, like,
and it's a lot. Like, even though my husband and I are no longer married, that is the first man that ever provided me safety.
Safety, yeah. I can tell by the way that you talk about him. And so yeah, I mean, that's completely a cultural. You say what?
So Miguel says she loves your transparency.
My testimony is somebody's growth. So
and honestly, man, listen, real talk. I've said this so much. We need more women to not be worried about trying to compete with the younger and give them game and stories and transparency. To not try to fake like I'm living this best life, girl. These men ain't that. No, if women will start talking more to them, their ears are going to have to pick it up. And then they'll say, you know what?
They're still competing with them, though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
they're still competing. They're still competing with these women.
Yeah, you can't have that competition. I want Frank to jump in here, man. He holding his face the whole time. he holding his face the whole time, man. Jump on in there.
So which part are we talking about?
Essentially,
the young women, or
essentially, what it boils down to is when that woman was talking about, the woman that we played the video of was talking about how these young women are taking care of these dudes, and Chef was talking about the why of it, how younger women end up taking care of these dudes. Speak to that, or how we fix that. I mean, obviously being a dad, I know what you're doing over there, but you can speak to it as well.
I make sure that I'm intentional with the time that I spend. I'm intentional with the way that I treat their mother. We went out last week, and I bought her a few Coach purses, and they were laid out on the bed. The kids came home from school. You didn't buy us, man. You didn't buy us. You didn't get us the Coach purse. I said, I only got one wife. But what I want you to do is make this your standard. So it's very critical for a man to be involved in not just his son's life, to teach him how to be a man, but in his daughter's, I say, responsible man. To be an example. I learned over time, you don't always got to have a sit down conversation. Because I used to think that I got to sit them down as a group, because there's a lot of girls. I got to sit them down as a group and talk to them to make sure that they got this understanding. But then I realized, they're old enough, so they're watching. Mm-hmm. And two of my daughters got boyfriends that I like. They some decent stand-up guys. So I see that.
Will you be okay with them having sex?
I'm 16. Hell no.
Have you talked to them about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, have you asked them, do they want to have sex?
I haven't gotten there with them.
So that's one of the things that I have the ability to, like, you see how I am. I'm just I kind of wear my stuff on my shoulder for the most part, on my sleeve, whatever. So, yeah, I think it's important to kind of dig deep, because oftentimes, our girls, they're our girls, so they'll go along and yeah, great, and this, that, and the third, and everything will seem all innocent and great. But when you actually dig past that surface level, or if you take a look at their text message thread, okay, you'll see some things that'll make you sick to your stomach, okay? And so one of the things that I encourage all dads to do is to have. Go ahead.
I said I'm patient because they're still young. So I'm not.
But if their friends are talking about it at school, then it's like, what are you gonna wait for? Like, if they're already having these discussions, would you rather it come from you and your experience, perspective, or some kid at school that they may think is cool, or some girl that they may look up to that has just this much more experience than your kid does, but that's acting like they know it all, because that's what people do. So it's like, who do you want influencing your kids? So, it's just, for me, I just encourage all dads, man, to just, dive a little deeper, ask those questions that you don't really want to know the answer to, just so you can know where they're at, and then you could give them an honest, perspective, an honest assessment, give them honest advice. You know what I'm saying?
You're essentially just dropping gems. Like with Morgan and Michelle, man, like I would say the things so fast and quick to where they'd be like, because I'd say flat out, yeah, don't be don't be running around there thinking you finna give him no buck, and then they'd be like, oh my God,
you gotta shock them, right?
And I'd be like, no, don't play with me. Come sit down, let's talk about it. I ain't playing with you.
Right.
No, I'm like, I know exactly what he's gonna do.
Right.
He think he, and then they'd be like, oh my God, they don't. I'm like, we all think like that. God damn it.
Listen, Sam.
And I would be like, I would tell them, I said, there's nothing wrong with boys thinking like that, because that's what out their biological wiring. There's nothing wrong with you as a girl thinking the boy is cute. But then I started getting real. I'm like, how old are you? Well, 15, and he's how old? I'm like, he gonna want a buck. Yeah, he wants something out of it. And it's just that simple, And then we go down the path and the rabbit hole.
What I'm doing is, I'm just taking it in phases. I'm not withdrawing from the conversation. I'm just going in phases, because I don't want to get too far ahead. Like, they're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like my girls are.
You'd be surprised.
Listen, man, there's guys at their school who are like me. You don't want to know what I was thinking at 15, 16. You don't know what I was doing.
12.
I had a car. Listen, man, I had a car the day I turned 16, man.
We've had those conversations like long time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just let them know. It's guys like me out there that's wolves. And so if you think that they not being nipped at, and you know what I'm saying, all that stuff, that's all I was saying. Like, make sure you have those. And I guess for me, I'm projecting, because for my girls, I know there's guys like me out there. So I'm like, all right, hold on, let me tell you what's going on.
So we
look, let's be clear. There was one point in time where we were at an age group where bragging about getting your fingers wet was the best thing you could do.
What?
If I could just you run around there bragging to your homeboy, man. At least I did. Lead that finger. That was something to brag about at a certain point. Like, what were we?
So listen. I just had an 18-year-old kid on my channel. The boy twin of the kids that got brought down here from Chicago. And he was telling me about how he had this sexual assault thing happen in middle school. So I asked him about it. And he was like, yeah, well, not really proud about it, but, it was this girl and I was flirting with her, and, I grabbed her butt. And I was like, and then what? He's like, well, that was it. I was like, look, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Back in my day, okay, my day, man, that was just part of the course.
Nothing.
There was a lot of stuff being grabbed back then, okay? Like, grabbing butt was like that was what
I'd
you
have beat up a dude for grabbing mine.
Man, I want to say episode 2, 3. Me and Frank had because he had a video where he talked about what we saw and how girls were treated coming up, and what we both talked about was what we were doing in high school that right now would get a kid expelled, suspended, expelled, kicked out of school, or put on an offenders list. Morgan, I'll never forget. Morgan was in school. And Morgan need a kid in the butt, need a boy in the butt. When you knee him, it's the butt, so that's the private area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was only kneeing the dude to give him a Charlie horse on the butt, the big, that's the big muscle,
right?
They called us and they said, "Yo, Mr. and Mrs. Hill, we know y'all don't know, but this normally goes down as assault." And we're like, "Assault?" Oh, we like, whatever. She just needed him in the butt. She's like, "Well, it's a private area, it's below the belt, so that's normally sexual." And we were just sitting there like, "Are y'all fucking serious?"
It's a different day and age.
Serious? It's a different day and age. Blame us, and then we can blame our dads, and we can blame every generation messes it up for the next generation coming up.
It's not even that so much as it was just never right. And
it wasn't.
And people are now calling it out because that type of behavior ended up not just being in high school. That type of behavior ended up in elementary schools.
But
you say being in what?
Elementary schools.
But let's take it. Let's take it up another
you have
level.
little boys being expelled for touching little girls. So that is kind of why it went widespread, because it's like, wait a minute, this behavior isn't even contained to the hormonal anymore. It's just happening.
I don't know about that. I don't know if it was happening widespread in elementary school. And I can say that that the culture of America was definitely, I guess you would call rapey, you know what I'm saying, in the 70s, 80s,
there you go.
90s.
There you go. Like, we don't have to lie about it, bro, because you got to think about it. The cultures that start, so in elementary school, you start booty grabbing. In high school, you start grinding up against. By college, now most males, by the college age, they realize, okay, bro, you can't, you know. But then there's this subset of dudes that they never grow out of that creepy, gropey young thing, and they only get worse. And those are your date rapists. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the dudes who take it to levels in college and in an adult.
I don't agree. I think that as a society, we have attempted to rejigger human biology, meaning that human biology tells us that we're ready for sex sometime around 13, most of us. Okay. And that's when we start to have all these different hormones and all these different feelings. Everything starts to change, our voice, our bodies, all this different stuff. And so by the time you're a couple years into that, in biblical times, y'all want to be talking about Christianity and stuff. You was 15, you was 16 is when you was having kids.
Okay, so would you be
we tried to refigure it when you had a decade later. Go ahead.
Would you be okay if one of your daughters was felt up by a boy and nothing happened?
No, and I told them that. But again, they if a boy is just like, so it's levels to this stuff, right? This isn't just like boys just assaulting girls. This is like flirty stuff, right? So if a girl is being flirty with you or whatever, and so hey, look, you're gonna maybe test and maybe push a little bit, and see what you can get away with. But if it's just a deal where you're just like, there's no, choosing signals or anything like that, then yeah, that's just like
that's what's happening though. That's literally what's happening. I got sexually assaulted in an Uber by a colleague who I never gave any type of anything.
Were y'all drinking? Tell the truth. Was there alcohol involved?
He was. I don't drink like that.
Okay, well, don't get into an Uber with a drunk guy.
This was back when Uber sharing was a thing. We stayed at the same hotel. But that type of stuff happens because a lot of men have been empowered to do that women are property. They can touch a woman any way they want.
And
I wasn't dressed risque or anything.
I get it. I was speaking about though when you're in middle school, when you're that young age where you're first starting to explore, you're first starting to understand and just get a grip over these different things, these emotions. And I know for a fact, because I was in middle school, that girls flirt with boys the same way boys flirt with girls. Now, maybe I was just a boy that got flirted with, and so maybe I'm just seeing it from my perspective where, you know, I was in middle school and I grabbed a lot of butts. Okay. But I didn't grab anybody's butt that didn't want to be grabbed.
And that's what I'm saying. There's this gray area, right, where males, young boys, go from that adolescent phase to the high school phase, still adolescent, still young. You're still between the 15 and 25 age where your brain ain't quite got reason yet. But they make it to college. Remember, college, that's still under 25.
I don't think so, man. I think the college stuff happens with alcohol.
Bro, you want me to cook?
I think that the college stuff happens with alcohol.
No,
you gotta talk to more women, honey.
No, it's no way on.
These dudes be straight sober.
No, it's not.
And
it's
will
not.
walk up to you blatantly, blankly.
I mean, listen, I went to college. I spent enough time on college campuses, but go ahead and tell me. Maybe there's some data statistics that you can tell me.
It's not just alcohol. Alcohol introduced to the situation makes it more likely their inhibitions are lowered. But there are men, no alcohol needed, sober as shit, that are just going to push those boundaries because they either feel entitled or because of the crowd concept. They've never understood that, oh man, I didn't learn that I should have kept my hands to myself and wait for those choosing signals and wait for those opportunities where women avail themselves. There's grown men, bro. Do you know how
our culture says different? Our culture says different. So yeah, in other words, these younger guys, listen, these younger guys are having less sex than we were. Yeah. Okay, that does not speak to a culture where everybody's just being groped and all this stuff. That's
why they're having less sex, because they're being gross.
Listen. There's a whole study. The culture now is more aware than ever of these type of things. Guys are afraid to be blasted. Like, listen, even when we was in school, you was afraid if a girl. That's why you didn't do it unless you got a certain signal, because you was afraid a girl turned around and slapped you. That was a thing back then. A girl would turn around and slap you or curse you out. Hold on. Y'all just there act like them girls from Decatur weren't cursing you out whenever they felt like it, or if you did something like, you did something like that. Come on now.
You're conflating. Okay, so I think what I'm saying is you're conflating two things. There's two.
We're not saying they ain't getting no play.
Yeah, it's two things that are merging here. What I'm saying is there are guys that obviously, like you just said, back in the day, things were a little rapey. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that there are guys who never learned, who were never told by other men or somebody, hey, bro, you can't move like that. That's not appropriate. That's not okay. Now, if you want to talk about the dudes in this age, they're probably more frustrated because they don't even have a chance. They don't even have a shot at it. And again, they coming of age. They're even more creepy. These incel forms didn't pop up out of nowhere. This is a bunch of dudes that come up in this era that are now 22, 23, 24, 25, up into 30, who ain't had no access to nothing, and they're angry about it because they feel entitled to it. So it's a mixed bag of both. But we know for a fact that there's always been this group of men that have been
pretty rapey,
gross. You know what I'm saying? Like we just gonna try anything. Like, man, come on, bro.
If those be the same dudes dropping off unsolicited dick pics.
Similarly.
But
I can't say that. I can't. But I guess.
Let me tell you about this study. There was a study done on a dress. It was done 3 different times. The dress had multiple touch sensors in it, so it can monitor how often a woman was touched as she walked through the club. So they had cameras in the club to track her, and then they had the sensors on the dress.
My cousin's talking about that right now.
She just said the same thing. Is this your cousin that was at the wedding?
Yeah, as a woman walking.
Is this the one that was at the wedding?
Yeah.
Okay.
He says, as a woman walking through a crowd, you would literally brace yourself for a feel up in a sober environment.
Man, your cousin thick. That's
hours.
why.
That
No.
Your cousin thick. All
like
right.
2 hours, that girl got touched over 300 times by men, and she walked by.
Your cousin thick. That's why. Okay.
Listen, hold on. Wait. Pause. At the wedding, my cousin, I don't know how many times I looked over and she was standing there, and one of these dudes was sitting there looking.
I'm telling you, man. Like, listen, look. All I'm saying is, look. I mean, are you saying walking through a crowd these days, you'd have to brace yourself up for a feel in a sober environment?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Maybe I just don't
even
know.
do crowds anymore for that rean.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
during Freaknik. But that's the last time I remember it being like that.
You know, it's crazy. I was in.
That's why they stop stuff like that.
When I was in Dallas, I remember I walked into a spot and it was Keisha. If you checking this out, I'm going to talk about you.
But you know, all the women came to Freaknik too, though. You know that, right, Sheffy?
Yeah, I do. But that doesn't mean you come to get felt up.
That's exactly why they came. They knew what was going to happen.
I used to be at Players Ball in Statesboro, but my freshman year at Georgia Southern, I never forget this because I whooped that guy's ass. I'm walking by. I had some little shorts on, no cheeks hanging out because I didn't dress like that. They were just like some capris. And he smacked my ass so hard, I turned around. And
you know you had them coochie cutters on.
Oh,
that was the coochie cutters days. That was the coochie cutter days. Look at them girl with the Daisy Dukes on.
I had on some capri shorts. And he smacked my ass, and I turned around and whooped his ass in front of his homeboys.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, though. I've seen that happen multiple times.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen where guys get cursed out, all this stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't.
These dudes don't care if you cuss them out.
And that's what they're speaking to. They're speaking to the fact that it's going to happen.
These dudes don't care.
I get it.
Cause all they gonna say is, whatever, bitch, you ugly. That's what it turns into. It was, I'm fine enough.
You ain't all that. You ain't all that.
And I'm ugly and I'm fat. I'm all of these things when I don't turn around and reciprocate. This is very, very.
I mean, hey, listen. I'm willing to be educated and all that stuff, but just in my peer view, you know, I've seen the culture change, so I don't see it to where, you know, it's anything like it was back in the day.
I do think awareness is way. Listen, there's no doubt. Awareness,
it's changed, but it still happens.
It still happens, but awareness. I would say just from an awareness standpoint, the things that we're aware of now that older people are passing down, like me, you, we're passing this thing down to the younger dudes we come in contact with now. Old heads wasn't passing a lot, like some were, but not by and large. Like some of the things that we knew better than either our dads or maybe our brother, but it wasn't a collective of other older young men being it like.
Well, grabbing butts and stuff was encouraged. It wasn't even like it was a thing to where, you know, they were telling us don't grab the butts and stuff. It was like, you know, I mean, when it was grabbing butts, we grabbed butts. Listen, we grew up with the Uncle Luke cover with the 4 girls, you know what I'm saying, with the bikini bottoms on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the culture. That was the culture. So, but I get it. I mean,
it's a culture based on, number one, that women's bodies are property of men. That's what the culture was. And we were raised in that culture as girls to, well, the only people to really say anything about that was the men that were older than you. That's the only time you would really open your mouth, is if the pastor touched you or such and such like that. And even then, especially in the Black culture, our families weren't necessarily protecting us from that either. So a lot of women were indoctrinated in sexual assault being something that just happened to women.
That you did, something that and you know what, it's crazy. A friend of mine, she experienced it, and when she went to her mother said, "Well, it happened to me, so, and I'm okay. You'll be fine." You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't wear shorts around men, stuff like that. Right. I'm 9 years old. Why do I gotta change what I'm wearing for this man in the house? Why can't he just like not look at me? Like, why am I even a target?
Right.
So that's where that came from. So as women got older, you know, it was like, okay, well, if a man ain't trying to touch me like that, maybe I'm not attractive. But then the Me Too movement kind of gave more light to, We've never been comfortable with this. We haven't. We were just raised to think it was something normal that was supposed to happen. But then we realized, oh, wait, I have this thing called personal space. And I can actually tell people to get out of my personal space.
And you know what's crazy? Again, I think you always got to consider fathers being in the household, because let me tell you, bro, at no stage was there a responsible father in the household that was not going to warn his daughters about the type of men that were out there and say, hey, any one of these men do something to you, if nothing else, you let me know and I'm gonna come see about it. You know, it was understood to me that the men, my grandfather had one daughter, and men feared messing with my aunt.
Right.
And she had an older brother and some cousins. They just did not. They feared dealing with those dudes if she ever went home and said something about something. So that's that protection and covering that they all should have. Frank, you got something to throw in there on this here?
You know, one of my proudest moments as a dad is my oldest daughter, when she was in high school. He had the guy come by to the house. He a white boy. And
you say a white boy?
Yeah. I took him out. I took him out. And
you got a little echo.
That's mine.
Okay.
So later on that night, I sat him down at the dining room table, and I was just asking him about who he, plans that he had, whatever, with his life, and I just let him talk. So I just asked him questions, open-ended questions, just keep him talking. So the whole time I was talking to him, I was looking at him dead in their eyes, and I don't even think I blinked. My wife that came back and told me, she said, you know, boy that came here, she said, oh, yeah. She said, our daughter told her, the boy told her, man, I felt like he was staring into my soul. So that was the proudest moment in my life.
He said his life. That's the proudest moment in my life.
That's great.
That's the effect I want to have.
Right.
Because if he's genuine, he can deal with it.
He can deal with it.
If he ain't, he's gonna scatter.
Right.
So my position is, I'm gonna make you scatter. If I can't make you scatter, you're a good one.
Yeah, I think so. My thing was, Morgan and Michelle came to me one day and they said, everybody's scared of you. And I'm like, me? Why? And then she did, and I think, I don't know which one it was. One of them boldly said, because you this old big old black man that don't never say nothing to nobody, and you ain't never smiling when people come around here. I said, but I'm the most fun, dope person there is. They said, to us, but everybody else, they said the boys, nobody want to come down to the yard because they think you're gonna say nothing. And I never said anything. It's just that I never played. I never looked like I was playing. And so sometimes you just got to have that energy to where they know those are the daughters that you don't want to mess with, because there's somebody over there that don't play about them girls. You know what I'm saying? You know, we need more of that, man. We need a lot more of that. I think all of us can absolutely agree, because it makes so much of a goddamn difference.
At the end of the day, the whole nuclear family thing may have been changing over the last couple of years, but even if two parents can't be together, two parents' influence have to be felt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The two boys need the perspective of their mothers, just like they need the rearing of their fathers. What a man should be, how a man should treat a woman, how a man should be even emotionally available to treat a woman. Some of those things come from the mother. And on the other side of that, it's for girls. It's like, okay, well, let me teach you how to be a lady. Not just, and a lady encompasses a lot of things. It's not just being submissive. It's knowing how to operate in your femininity no matter what you're doing, whether you have to be assertive or if you have to be submissive.
Right.
But also, this is how you should be treated. This is how you should present yourself to allow or disallow certain types of treatment. Because a lot of girls simply don't know what to expect from men because we have all of these secrets. I was very candid with my daughter in telling her about my history, where I've come from, what happened to me, the time I was raped in New Jersey. I was very candid to her with these stories because I wanted her to understand that being a woman has nuance, number one, but you still have to navigate those nuances and you can get past it. So it's not one of those things where you have to hold yourself so tight where you can't explore the world so much. It's just like, be careful. You know, if you're going out at night, park under a light. And if there's a car next to your car and there's no other cars around that, pull your knife, because that person may be trying to get you while you get in your car. Stuff like that I had to teach her as a woman. But only her father could teach her how a man is supposed to treat her. You can't do that. So I don't want anybody to have, you got to have both parents in the mix. And if you don't have both actual parents, you got to find a replacement, period.
What you said in the beginning of what you ran into was, even if the nuclear family dynamic breaks down from the household perspective, if you don't have a 2-parent household, you still need to feel the presence of 2 parents. That's absolutely imperative. Like, man, if you can get that, you're winning. You're definitely winning. Frank, you want to say something else on it?
No, I wanted to tell Sheffy, I'm glad that she mentioned that about taking precaution as a woman, because when a guy says that,
oh God, don't let us say be safe. Don't let us say don't run outside at midnight. Don't let us say, like, because it's like, well, yeah, but men shouldn't be predators. Of course they shouldn't. But we don't live in this. We don't live in this.
Homeboys to, like,
I mean, but that ain't no difference from women telling men y'all need to use condoms so you don't have like
yeah, but we
y'all don't listen to us.
No, and we don't live in the shoulda verse. You know what I'm saying? I call it the shoulda verse. Women live in the shoulda verse. Shoulda. This should have been that. This should have been that. This is the way the world should be. No, the world is the way it is.
The world ain't that way. It just is.
You have to operate with the way the world is. The last thing I want to touch on a little bit. We over 2 hours now, but the last thing I want to touch on a little bit. And Marcus, I'm pretty sure you're ready for this one.
Oh Lord.
Should we talk about Kevin Samuels' birthday?
Oh my God!
The remembrance of Kevin.
All right, let me go get my plug real quick.
You turn my camera off. I'm about to go.
Listen,
I don't give a goddamn about this man.
I had no clue it was his birthday yesterday. I had no clue that there was a remembrance. There was a Facebook Live remembrance.
Oh my God!
And apparently the remembrance of Kevin Samuels was trolled by women or by people that didn't like him. You know, they had a lot of negative things to say. And so, I mean, listen, I heard what he had to say. There were moments where if I'm tone policing, then I can police anybody, and especially him. But if I'm talking about what he had to say just from a pure subject matter, substance standpoint, there's not very much of it I could go against. And so
even if a woman backs into a parking space, she a man.
There's something masculine about it, because I can tell you something now. I can tell you so. I will say something. I will say something now. I never really noticed that Brianna almost never backs into a parking spot, and the one time that I didn't, she noticed that I didn't. She said to me, "Oh, you ain't gonna back in for once?"
But backing in is a very military thing. That's like something all service members do.
But you know what? You're right. See, and the military is mostly what? Masculine. You know what I'm saying? It's a masculine thing. That wouldn't have ever been a red flag for me. It would have never been a red flag for me if a woman backed into a party. I would have never cared. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to throw away. I don't want to throw away the 80% that I agree with the man for the 20% that I did. But go ahead, Frank. I'm gonna let Marcus close this one out on Kevin Samuels. Frank, you go ahead and talk about the remembrance of. Oh, and I love. Listen, I was one that I love the ranking system because I don't rank women. I never have. But I love that he used to do the whole ranking thing when they came on and he asked them, rank yourself. He asked them to rank themselves, and then he would then explain to them, well, now you're saying you're on the same level as this woman, this one. So you want to do that again? And the women would double down on the rank. They would say, I'm a 9, I'm a 8, I'm a 10. And then he would say, okay, this person is that, this person is that, this person is that. Do you still believe you're that? And they would double down. And at that point in the show, when the women would double down on their ranking, that's when I said, whatever he says going forward, I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
I didn't have a problem with him. I didn't have a problem with. I didn't agree with everything he said, but the majority of what he said did make sense. I didn't care about his tone either, because a lot of those women, they provoked a lot of that tone. So I think that if a lot of people would have gotten past the tone, and here's the thing, and I'm gonna say it, and they probably gonna like the comments up too. If I say this. I love black women. Y'all my sisters.
Oh Lord, what are you about to
say? Of thinking that you can't be critiqued, or that any form of criticism is hate or some type of ritual speech. If you don't push that mess to the side, because I think that a lot of them, not all of them, surely not you, Chef. I think a lot of them have taken, because they have a platform, now public platform, they have taken to this platform and highlighted the comments that they face and the BS that men do. And they have used this victim position to prop themselves up as something higher than that's beyond reproach. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Is that I'm making sense?
Right.
So I think the reason why they hated that man to the point of celebrating his death, like that's like one of the lowest things you can do as a person, as a human being. Like, the man didn't kill nobody. The man didn't rape nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, the man didn't molest no child. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't known for those things. Just because you didn't like his opinions, you celebrate his death? Like, that's low.
The only person that I know that I kind of recall getting something similar when they died was Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, God, yeah.
And Kevin Samuels didn't even have the time to generate the level, like what Rush did over 30, 40 years. Like, he had 40 years of building that vitriol that he was up against. So I kind of understood it, but even then I was like, man, I ain't gonna celebrate the man. Yeah. No. Kevin Samuels wasn't even putting in that work. I mean, maybe social media amplified it to the point where it did have an effect that was similar. But there was nothing he said or done to where I could say you celebrate. When you celebrate a death of somebody, like you said, you gotta violate some human rights. You gotta literally violate some human rights in order for us to celebrate your death. Hitler's death.
But that's where we are. That's where we are in the culture. These women literally feel like it's their right to feel like they're a 10. A 9.
Mississippi 10.
A 8.
Location matters, boo.
You said, hold on, wait. You said she might be a Memphis 10?
A Mississippi 10.
A Mississippi 10? Yeah. Mississippi 10 is a Miami 5.
Location matters. You ain't no Miami 10. You might be a Miami 2. Like, I think I'm like a strong 6. But if I'm in Miami, I'm probably like a 1.5. And I'm okay with that. I know where my bread is buttered and I stay in my lane. I think
but that's what he was trying to tell people. Delivery
is everything.
It is, but it's so bad to miss that overarching theme that there's a lane. And the average man lane and the average woman lane should merge. And if it did, we have a lot more black people. What he was trying to say is black people can't afford to not stay in their lane. Because if more black people did, women and men, if black women stayed in their lane, being that they're average and got with average men, we'd have more marriage among black people.
The point is that on a whole, black men understand that, and that the problem that we saw that we're having is with the black women. So in other words, black men understand that, they may want the 9, but they understand that they actually really just qualify for the 5. So ultimately they'll be fine settling down with the 5. But black women don't want to, they feel like they're settling if they get with the 5. And they treat the man as such. And that's the difference.
But that's
that men who are average don't want to be treated like they're being settled for by average women. And that's what's going on out here.
But that's nuance because, okay, like how I feel about Kevin Samuels, I probably agree with about 95% of what he said. Because especially with the women that would call in, like, sis, just know you're not realistic at all. At the whole notion, like I hate the even term of a high value man because it technically doesn't even really exist.
Why not?
Let me finish.
Numbers wise,
right?
It's a small percentage.
It's such a small number. It's just like you're not going to qualify.
But that's the whole point.
That was the whole point. He was trying to.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I hate the term even being used because a lot of women. Well, I deserve a high value man.
No,
sis, you ain't even a high value woman. And then at the same time, value is determined by the buyer. Are you the buyer or the seller in this situation? Right. Most women are the sellers. So you don't even get to determine value here. You can determine worth, but you can't determine value.
Exactly.
So unless you're the one who is in the position of being the buyer, you have to go with who's buying what you're selling.
That's what he was saying.
And he did. I agree with that.
That was literally his whole message.
I understand it. I'm not saying his message was wrong.
She just she solely didn't like the delivery.
Like I just said that women would be more they probably screwed.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah, no, they would celebrate your death. Don't you get that? That's the whole point. Listen. If I was an avid Kevin Samuels viewer and of course fan, okay, and so I would watch every stream, okay, and so I would see the nuances. He would mirror your energy. He wasn't just like coming off just like with a hammer to everybody, like how the viral clips show. So if you were just a casual,
I know him from the viral clips. I
never. The viral clips definitely wasn't the viral.
If you was just a casual viewer, then you didn't really get to see his work. And Manuel, I got to tell you, he definitely put in work. That man was in his 50s working. He was doing a live stream 5 nights a week when he got popular. You know what I'm saying? 5 nights a week, 2-3 hour streams on YouTube.
So let me tell you what it was for me. When the first thing went viral, I saw it and I was like, damn, that was cold, that's fucked up, man, trash, whatever. Then after the viral clip, I said, I like I like context. I need context. So about a week after that clip went viral, I went and watched the whole video. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I kind of see why it went there. And then, of course, what does YouTube do? It suggests maybe another video. I clicked on another one. Something similar. And I said, wait a minute. This dude's got a lot of videos. So I went back, and I saw when he was his setup was different. And I looked and I said, wait, he's talking about dudes here, dudes here, dudes here. And there was this whole catalog of him talking about men. So I started from there just to hear, and his principles were the same on both sides.
Right.
Obviously, you're going to listen in this world. You're going to get more popular the moment you start addressing the female, the woman, women, ladies. When you start addressing that, when you get their attention, you're going to go further. They're our biggest consumers. So by default, once the Shade Room or whomever got a hold of that one viral clip and it spun around the internet, that's what launched everything. And nobody took the time at that moment to say, look, this is what he went viral for, but how about this? And nobody went hard the other direction.
Well, but then you have women like Sheffy that only looked at the viral clips and made judgments based off of that. So it's like
the only thing in my judgment is that he was kind of harsh, but I never really disagreed with what he was saying. Because and then the other piece of that was, if you invite somebody to critique you, you better be ready for that critique. Because if you wasn't ready, you shouldn't have
the biggest. Like,
this is why I don't call, because I ain't ready. Don't critique me. I'm fine where I'm at. I'm regular. I'm fat, but I'm a little cute and I got money, so I'll be okay. Leave me where I'm at.
It all evens out. Huh? It all evens out. I ain't mad at that. I'll say this about his memorial. So of course I tuned in. And man, it felt so good. It felt so good to get that notification, man. Boy, I tell you, man, when I looked up, man, and I saw that blue dot next to that Kevin Samuels icon, man, I had to check to make sure that was the actual Kevin Samuels page, because, you know, they have a whole bunch of his content that's being put out there by other pages now.
Out there, yeah.
And so, man, oh boy, I ain't gonna cap.
You cried?
I did. I did, man, because here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. My channel wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for Kevin Samuels. Wouldn't even exist. Like, the whole reason why I got into YouTube at all was because of that viral clip, and then me going back and checking this stuff out. Because like most people, I was like, well, why did he trip on the girl like that? And then you look at the whole actual segment with the girl, and then you say, okay, it was a buildup and she was called in on the wrong night and all this stuff. Okay, I get it. And then you, like you say, I went back, checked out his old stuff, and, you know, just became a huge fan because I recognized the kind of raw masculinity, even in his, as they call, you know, his kind of metro kind of sexual vibe or look or whatever, voice, all that stuff. I recognized the raw masculinity in his message and just the way he behaved. Okay, his discipline. When you saw how hard he worked, that motivated the hell out of me. Like, man, if this guy can go this hard, I could do it too. Like, fuck that. And then just the stuff that he was saying, man, it really helped to shape the way that I viewed, unfortunately, you know, things about my relationship that I couldn't quite put a finger on. I couldn't quite put a finger on it, man. Like, why do I just got this certain level of frustration or whatever. And the way that he would bring it out, either through his monologues by articulating it or through his interviews, which were live with real women, man, it just, you're talking about a brilliant couple of years, man. You're talking about stuff that will go on for probably decades. You're talking about, in his live stream, he probably netted somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 in his debt from the super chats. In his debt, he had 12,000 people in a stream. In his debt, okay? He's more popular than most people could ever imagine to be. And so the impact, when people actually begin to dive in, as they have, because you have all these channels that are reposting this content in just the interview by interview form. So it's just easier to digest. And when you start to have these people digest his work and actually see what he was trying to do and the brilliance of it all, I think that people are gonna just be like, damn, we missed out. Like, we should have been listening. Like, he is almost like a prophet, man. Like, he was sitting here, he did his work in these last few years of his life, and he killed it, man. He killed it. And he went out on top of his game. And like I say, man, like, you know, listen, he was a man's man. He reminded me of my elders, a tough guy, a no nonsense guy, the type of guy. I was a couple of weeks away from booking a consultation with him when he passed. I was so upset because I put that consultation off for months, and I knew I wanted to do it. And I was like, man, when my YouTube channel gets to a certain place, that's when I'm gonna book it. And then he died, and I was like, all right, man, this sucks, because I would have loved to just hear him, you know, rip me up a little bit, you know, tell me about myself a little bit, get level set me a little bit, because that's the type of guy that he was, man. And you know, that's a classic version of we just don't, you know, you don't have a whole lot of that out here in that form anymore. So we really missed a brilliant guy, man. That,
we got a bunch of junk now.
Huh?
We got a bunch of junk now. The guys that came after him are pretty much basing their channels off of the viral posts.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me tap into something that Marcus said. And he talks about the masculinity of Kevin Samuels. You know, I don't want to parse that the wrong way. So let me. Kevin Samuels, if you go back and you look at, he talks about his upbringing. He was surrounded by a bunch of cackling, complaining ass women. Mm-hmm. That will shape you. And then in his early life, the way he moved was based on that upbringing. It wasn't until he got among men until he realized I need to fix that, right?
Yep.
I'm telling you now, there's people I listen to that were in the game before him and will be here after him, of other races, other groups around the world. They're saying the same thing, and they're just speaking it nicer, and they have a different tone about it. Maybe they got a PhD here and there. But let me be real clear about the type of men that I came from. I would say my dad was a softer version of men, but there's none of these men here who know my dad would say my dad is soft. Like, no, not my dad. Shit, bro. Like, people, I think everybody thought my dad was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it's because he could stand at that house and yell up the street, and people would hear, "Uh-oh, Manuel, Charles, Cliff, y'all dad calling y'all." You know what I'm saying? And we got down the street. But my grandfather, him, we're talking about World War II era. So mm-hmm. I had no clue that there was this group of men existing outside of the upbringing of masculine men like that. I didn't know it was a real thing, and I didn't know how it affected men, because I got my dad and I got my uncles and I got older. My cousins are my elders. I don't have, me and my brothers didn't grow up with cousins that were
cousins in your same generation, right?
They're 10 years older. Mm-hmm. So everybody we saw my older brother get married, my older sister get married, older cousin get married. They were aunts, uncles. We got real elders, not old people. And so when Kevin Samuels and other people started talking, other men in groups, I used to go in on these men groups, and I would end up in Facebook jail so much because I would be chumping them off. I'd be ripping them up. You know how I used to do dudes in Safe House? I'm like, y'all crybabies, y'all this, y'all that. Y'all weak. I would go in on them dudes, not understanding that they were coming from a space to where they were going through that same development process that Kevin Samuels had to go through at a young age. So they looked to Kevin Samuels as somewhat of a beacon, whereas I didn't need him. So I looked at people that needed him to talk. I'm like, hey, I gotta listen to this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But now I understand, depending on where, what, how, it might be necessary to hear that from him, because it can help somebody navigate something. Was he always right? I won't say so. But was he more right than wrong? I'd have to agree that he was. But then I couple that with the environment that what my professional environment is. Come on now. I'm not in the military with dudes that was my military seniors are my father's age or older. These men are so old and crusty and they're now navigating a world where they have to kind of like, oh, can't say this, can't say that.
Right.
It's
Censor
now
themselves a little bit.
it's now gotten to the point where when junior people talk to me, they're like, oh, you're from the old guard. I'm like, what the? I'm from the old guard because I will say certain things a certain way where they realize this dude might not have took the training. You know what I'm saying? And so it's
you ain't passed sharp training.
You know what I'm saying? But they'll know something about the way I come across that it's really like he's from a different crop.
Yeah.
So I think black men definitely needed a lot of black men needed a lot of that. They just did because
listen, all transparency, of course. Well, my dad still lives, still married to my mom, still same house that I grew up in. So I've had my dad my whole life, and my dad ain't no chump. You know what I'm saying? My dad is Caribbean, and he's that whole macho Caribbean type of dude or whatever. But there was still things that I learned from Kevin Samuels that I just wasn't gonna learn from my dad. I just wasn't. He just and my dad just wasn't quite as advanced.
His dad totally old school.
So for like my dad don't use computers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So like whereas Kevin Samuels type, he'll be sitting there running a live stream on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a difference. It was just a difference. And so the fact that he was a contemporary guy, but still very much so old fashioned and old school, and he combined those things. It was a special combination, man. And that along with his brilliance, because he was a very smart guy, and his work ethic, because he actually put work into his live streams. He didn't just cut his camera on and start talking shit. He did research. He had topics. He had all type of acronyms for things. Okay. And so this stuff is going to go in college courses one day. It's going to be studied. I guarantee it. And
I think it will, because there's a show I watch and I listen to, it's a podcast, and this is a white lady. Shout out Susan Vinker. I don't know if she'll ever hear this. I don't know if she'll ever see this, but this woman is cooking, and she's not young. She's older. She pairs with other YouTubers, other podcasters, and 90% of what she says is very in line with Kevin Samuels, and she's never mentioned the man. And I don't think it's because she's dodging him. She has her own life experiences, and she speaks about feminism, about the nuclear family, about women working, about men being the breadwinner, about the average, about all these things are still the same conversation pieces. And one thing Sheffy said is that a lot of guys are trying to duplicate Kevin Samuels. Yeah, hell yeah. There's a bunch of dumb dudes trying to ride the wave. Absolutely. You always but you can notice them. You can notice the lack of authenticity in those that are just trying to have the shock jock part, but they don't have the substance. They're like Marcus said, you can tell when somebody has researched the topic by the way they're speaking on it, versus they're just spouting off something that somebody else said before, but they don't have anything else to say but that. Yeah, you can do that for 10 minutes. It's easy for 5 to 10 minutes to spout off something that somebody else said. But when it's time for you to research a subject matter, a topic, and use that stuff and put it into context and perspective, that's not as easy to do as people would think it is. And a lot of these people that are doing that because he did it and they're adding his channel, getting into the algorithm by adding this man's channel. That is an easy thing to do. Not only that, he allowed it. He allowed people to tap into his algorithm, to take his streams and send them on off and do what you want to do. Because he's sitting there like,
but with him gone, the finesse that he brought to the situation,
they don't have
it's not there. I mean, I saw this one guy who literally said, well, since single parent homes are caused by women, that means women need to be controlled. What now? Like, it just didn't make any sense. And like, okay, forget the men are running out on the kids. It's the single moms that are the problem, and we got to control them, like literally round up women and control them is what he was talking about. So it's things like that where it's kind of disappointing, because you would expect them to see, because I've seen the work ethic. I agree wholeheartedly. He was on his shit as a YouTuber. You would think a lot of men would see that effort that he put into and apply the same effort. No, these dudes out here just saying shit. And it's kind of sad to see, because then they'll say, well, Kevin Samuel said blah, 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 blah.
They won't
but they're
laugh.
using the same, viral talking points instead of looking at the totality of his work. So it's kind of a bastardization of what he did. I ain't saying, I was a huge fan of his. I mean, what he said, he wasn't wrong often. But these new guys, man, it's taking a significant downturn.
But one thing, Chevy, I'll say this. One thing with these new acts, and Marcus will tell you, is like, you can see it. They rise quick and they fall just as fast. When you jump out here and you hurry up and hit the gravy train and you parrot somebody, that gets old real quick, because you can't stay fresh doing that. So they'll jump out there, and then they'll.
Well, what's going on right now? What's been going on since, I say, probably the beginning of the year, or maybe even a month or so before the beginning of the year, is the proliferation of all these different channels that are basically just ripping his content and uploading it, and they're getting a lot of views. They're making some decent money. Like, their channels, they get 100,000 views every time they drop every day. Right. And it's just old Kevin Samuel stuff, and they add a caption or something like that, and then put it up on YouTube and make money from it. So that's one thing, right? So you have the impact of this guy is just amazing. Then you have a person like Just Pearly Things. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with Pearl, but Pearl now has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Basically kind of largely because she was on Kevin Samuel's show and was influenced by her conversation with him, and started to really get into the manosphere talking points, and has pretty much mastered them. And so, obviously, she's a Caucasian lady. So that also is going to play a role into it, as far as just it being something different.
Girl?
Huh?
That pick me girl, she's blonde and just look regular as hell.
Why you call her a pick me?
Oh, she's absolutely a freaking pick me.
So what's wrong with a pick me though?
Okay,
no.
But for me, she comes across pick me because she don't actually believe what she's saying. She just says it because it gets her what she needs is money. I'm fine with you if you were authentic in what you're doing. It is what it is. But that child ain't authentic. She just took his talking points and making money off of it. And you can tell. It's no difference than how Candace Owens moves. Candace Owens don't believe nothing she be saying. She getting money. I don't vibe with that. And that's just because I'm a genuine person.
I can see that.
I think that she's 25, 26, however old she is right now, Pearl. And so she, was influenced by, the manosphere, the talking points and everything else. Maybe doesn't have all the lived experience to be a, like I say, just have as much kind of weight to her opinion as, say, a Kevin Samuels, who was in his mid-50s. However, what she's saying is still largely correct. So,
if you're a conscientious observer, I will say this. If you are actually a conscientious observer, and if you have parents from a certain era, so I don't know about Pearly Things, I don't know her background. I've seen a few of her things.
So 1%, top 1% family, large family. Dad is, does well, alpha male, takes care of the family. Yeah, she went overseas to play volleyball, that type of life.
If you, so I'll say this, man. Perspective is interesting because I'm not Kevin Samuel's age. However, I did not need him to say anything for me to come to the same conclusion. However, I would say I was more fortunate than him in probably every way possible. because the advantages I had with the men that influenced me already put me in a space that I didn't have to vacillate back and forth with these concepts. It just was. And so depending, I don't know how genuine or how disingenuous Pearly Things is or isn't, but maybe she can see something based on where she's from, based on the family, based on something else, and she can see the way that modern dating and relationships are being navigated, and she can probably say she probably saw, okay, Kevin Samuel said something, made a point, and probably said this motherfucker's right. Like Marcus said, sometimes people put things into words, and then when somebody puts it into words, it's like that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm really not here. But some of the things I do with my reels, I know good and well nobody is doing what I'm doing with my reels. There's not a single person whose wordplay is as bad as mine. Not one. You find one whose wordplay is as bad as mine, he's actually rhyming somewhere freestyling. Like, my wordplay and concepts come so fast and quick, and it's because I genuinely have sit back and observed some things, and it's like, no, I'm not making this shit up. When I'm talking about something, like, for example, if I'm talking about women that are using filters in the dating game, that's not me hating on women using filters on Facebook. That's me literally having observed the evolution of it, and I bounced those ideas off my spouse, who I met on a dating app, who didn't use filters, and she used to get on women about using angles, lighting, and not using full body shots, and not that like. So we've had these conversations, and I've been able to put them into words and put them out there. Sometimes people don't have the time to do that. So whereas Pearly Things probably just didn't have the time to have those conversations and put them into words herself, maybe it took a consciousness like Kevin Samuels to say something for to get her sparked off, and then just kind of hand the baton off, and you running the race too.
And she just doesn't come across genuine to me. I can dig it. It's just an energy thing for me. I have she's not usually wrong in what she's saying. It's just like, and again,
it lacks originality. It lacks originality.
And maybe it's because the only time I really see her is in the viral clips. That could be it too.
Yeah,
I'm very conscious of the problems with Western culture, the problems with social media, the problems with both male and female. But I guess when I see a woman just sit around and talk about only the male stuff all the time, it's like, sis.
I started watching Pearl on a whim, and it was her and what's that black chick named Melanie King, something like that.
Melanie King,
yeah, and it's another chick that got a channel, but she don't never show her face.
Big Book.
Yeah, that. So after watching so many of those videos, and I started to realize, like, they're saying the same thing. Like, are y'all in the meeting before y'all do y'all videos? Are y'all watching each other's content and just repeating what each other are saying? So I can understand what Sheffy is saying, that it doesn't seem genuine, because it's like opportunistic.
Yes, because if you're being genuine, you can step on both sides of the fence and talk about what's wrong. Because it's not just
I'll give y'all that. I'll agree with y'all on that.
And I'll use you for example. Mark. Man, like Britt, you caught us off guard. I didn't know. Listen, I'm pretty sure we all thought you was gonna crush Rush and throw Ciara to the wolves, and you went the whole other direction. And I'm like, he didn't do it on purpose. That's authentically. I know him well enough to know that's authentically the way this man's brain works. I just didn't expect that, because you've been going hard in the paint the other way. But it just shows balance. You like, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. You said y'all motherfuckers, y'all dudes couldn't get a Ciara. So let's start there. And which so many women have also, and men. There's so many women and men have been saying that. They're like, wait, hold up. Y'all dudes talking this and y'all talking about that. But y'all couldn't get her if you wanted to. Y'all can't even get something like her that's not even famous. So y'all need to pipe down anyway. Be quiet. Like, sit over there and be quiet. So there's an authenticity that then comes with your perspective, because you ain't gonna just say manosphere only. You just criticize some of those talking points and something that comes from that space, because you hear the noise too. You hear the real shit, but you hear the noise.
Right. Nah, like I say, I can agree. Those content creators that have kind of tried to fill the void of Kevin Samuels have largely been one-sided, which after a while does start to come off as inauthentic. You know what I'm saying? And so I can agree with that, and that's just speaks more to the brilliance of Kevin Samuels and the fact that he had years of speaking to men, so that when the universe did reward him with a viral moment, he was prepared for it. He didn't look like just some grifter that was the anti-Derek Jackson type deal. He was a guy that gave it to both sides, and in fact gave it to men harder than he gave it to women if you actually really go and look at it. And so,
I'm not joking, y'all. Listen, y'all think I'm playing to talk about
some of his men videos.
Listen, I have right now on this hard drive. It would probably take me about 2 minutes. I would be able to click into a video because I had a response years ago. I was sitting in New Orleans and I grabbed his video at men, and I was looking at that and I'm like, man, I want to use this because I wanted to cook people for talking all this stuff. And I wanted to say, wait a minute, y'all. This is what came before, and y'all are ignoring all this before. I understand the viral clip kind of supersedes that in people's minds. But on this computer right now, I downloaded one of his videos, and I said, this one, he was talking about why can't a man, he basically, is being a good man good enough? I know this video by name. He said, why is not being a good man good enough? And that was a 2-hour stream. And he went in. He went up and down.
Well, and see, the thing about it is that the men could handle it. Okay, the men could handle it for the most part. We could take the criticism and go work on ourselves and da 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 da. The reason why Kevin Samuels was so polarizing was because our women can't handle it. They can't handle anybody telling them anything that they are the Queen Moss gold of Queen Egypt, Africa. Like, no, like actually some of y'all need a little bit of help.
That is the case in this day and age.
You say what?
You got to look at why that is the case in this day and age.
It's because a lot of them qualify for the stuff that he said wasn't good. So like overweight, single mom, and old. So basically the women that hate him the most were overweight, single moms, and old.
It's even deeper than that. As Black women, we've been told we've been ugly for a very long time. So when social media became a thing, we started celebrating each other. So now if somebody's coming in kind of trying to provide some correction there,
it's met with opposition. I can get I'm taking a little sip. I'm taking a little sip of what you pouring right there. Just taking a little sip of it.
I'm not saying it's justified at all, because I do think a lot of women live in this fantasy world of what they're capable of, what they're able to do. It's a lot of people that just don't understand the truth. But again, that mindset of I'm not listening came from us being already talked about for a very long time, to the point where social media allowed us to celebrate each other. And people don't want to think about, oh, wait, even in celebrating each other, I still got some stuff I need to fix.
Right.
I'm not perfection.
They say that the quote is, somebody said this, and I'm still in this quote from the Susan Venker show, but I know it's a quote that she was quoting, and it said, in 12-step programs, they tell you the opposite of crazy is crazy. So when there's a crazy idea or a crazy thought or a crazy cultural shift, the pendulum swings all the way back the other way. I've been saying this here. It never swings to the middle and get it right. It swings all the way back the other way. So Kevin Samuels was that pendulum swing all the way the other way. Somewhere.
I think Kevin Samuels was right. Hold on. Kevin Samuels was right in the middle.
Wait,
and
no,
Kevin
I'm talking about the effect. No, I mean the effect. I mean the way the women heard it. It was totally diametrically opposed to everything that they've been hearing. Like, because bro, I get it all. Like, man, when I'm in groups and I'm talking and somebody says, Nicole Williams, she says it all the time. Why people always got to tell people, like when people talk about their preferences, why somebody got to come along and tell them they don't qualify for that, this, that, and the third. I'm like,
because you might not.
I'm like, because you might not. Well, why not let them just have that? Why not leave them alone? Let people live. I said, if you publicly state your preferences, the public will let you know whether or not they're valid. You keep your preferences private, and then the public won't say anything. But if I publicly say I'm finna go try out for an NBA team, I got hundreds. Every one of my homeboys gonna be like, "You finna do what?" They gonna be like, Manuel, first of all, you 6'2". Second of all, on your best balling day, a 17-year-old that was just a starter in high school would cook you. Third of all, like I would get so much realism shoved down my throat. But then at the end of it, they were like, "But hey, player, do what you gonna do. If you want to go for it, go for it." They gonna hit me with that, but the reality is gonna be set so hard. I think when reality was being set for Black women, like you say, Sheffy, part of that clapback was they've been being told one thing for so long that they just didn't even want to hear it. But we're like, man, it's good for you. Like, take this medicine. I know it's nasty. I know that medicine nasty as hell, but it's so good for you. It's gonna clear all that up in your chest. It's gonna get that all up out your nose, but it's nasty. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be good if you take it.
Yeah, it's just social media is just a big problem in society as a whole, where we have gotten to this standard of just because I can, I am, and I should. And it's like, no, there are still qualifications for things.
Everything.
No, you don't need a qualification to start a YouTube channel. You can just kind of do it and go for it through it. And, as you run the algorithm and do what you need to do. So people are aspiring that type of movement across their entire lives. Because I aspire to, I can. No, there's some limitations. I mean, yeah, I'm in that top 9% of earners as far as women, but I know I probably don't qualify for the top 1% of men. I'm all right with that. I know my lane. I stay in it, and it's okay. It's okay to be regular. But social media has taught us it's not, has tried to teach us.
But you know how hard it is for
but what's regular? I guess that's one of the problems, right? So Kevin Samuels was trying to level set our community. Okay, so for instance, the average Black woman is overweight. Okay, and so why is that? Why is it? So one of the things that he used to say was, you can tell how the women of a group feel about their men by how they present themselves and how they look. So why is it that our women feel it's okay to be overweight and to present themselves that way? Huh?
To be honest, a lot of the men actually want it, to be honest.
I think it's such
that's not true.
Wait. I think it's such a conflated. Because come on, let's talk about what happened. You want to talk about what happened in the 90s? You want to
talk about it? Because I'll preface it by saying
we wanted everything to be thick.
Hold on now. Actually, go back and look at the music videos in the 90s. Look at you don't see no whole bunch of big old booties, big old BBL type booty. You don't see none of that.
It was natural.
But we got to a point. Remember, bro, I can name names from Lakeside High School. There were certain ones that had a grown woman's thickness naturally. What happened was, when dudes started, look, let's not act like what's the song by Sir Mix-a-Lot?
I like big.
Come on, bro. Let's stop playing.
Big butts was classified as different back then.
Okay, wait.
It wasn't BBLs, no.
No, it wasn't BBLs. But let me tell you how this works. So you get the big butt that, okay, like if you got a natural one, great. If you got a natural big butt and a small waist, great. But you combine the big butt with the girl that's thin, with the elders that are telling them, girl, you need to eat. Right? Girl, you need to eat. So girl said, well, I'm feeling kind of some way.
So what elders were telling her that? Was that the men elders or the women elders?
We know who it was. I'm saying
the who's. I want to hear you say it.
It's usually, I don't remember. I don't know about men ever. I've never heard anything about a man.
Never heard a man say that.
I've never heard.
So it was the who.
I know the women. I know the women.
Okay, so then let's start there. Why were the women trying to encourage our younger women to be fat?
Because listen, I'm gonna go back.
Because if you look historically at fashion, your thicker, your what's considered plus size now was considered a grown woman's body in like the 50s and 60s.
Right. And so
the skinny girl thing didn't take off till like the 2000s.
That's just not true. That's not true at all. In fact, if you go back to the 50s and 60s, you'll see that what was considered big back then is like that, like almost regular now. You know what I'm saying?
I think
it's the exact opposite of what you just said. If you go back and look at your family history, go back and look at your old photo albums when it was 1930, 1940.
Wait. You're missing it. You're missing it. What I'm saying happened is there was this thing about an ass, and women wanted to have one because that's what men were checking for. Combine that with women that were bigger telling them that they needed to eat. Now I'm not saying neither one of these groups were good for younger women. Neither one. But the one that was the worst, you shouldn't have had grown women telling young girls they need to eat. Number one, you shouldn't have had that. However, if you're imagine being a young woman between 15 and 25, you ain't developed anything up here to actually make any real informed decisions, and you got grown women telling you to eat and young men telling you they want it thick.
Because back in the day, they used to say, if you get hit from the back, that's how you get a big booty. So you had
I know he knows. See, shake your head. There you go.
Like it was a lot.
She got them childbearing hips. She got them. Come on, stop playing.
Listen.
I have dude now in high school.
Yes, we like curves. As far as your butt, your hips, and all that stuff.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The gross proliferation of it is where they manipulated the game. They thought you could eat your way to thickness. Here's where it happens. Yeah, eating and fucking in your 20s, it'll get you thick. But what does that turn to in your 30s when that's not healthy? That's not because you were in the gym. That's not because when that first baby hits your body and you don't snap back the right way, bro. Then we got these, we got wide backs or wide bodies and everything.
Well, I think that society changed is what happened. I think that's what happened. So you just used to have more outside activities.
Absolutely.
You used to have to walk more places. You used to have to take the bus. You used to have to do work activities that were more physically demanding or utilizing. And so the bottom line is that, we now have it became a society where you had this influx of, say, like women working in the office type deal. You had a bunch of black women that were first generation college graduates, and they got office jobs, and they were very sedentary, and they already had bad eating habits. So that's what happened, right? But it happened to other cultures as well. But other cultures have figured out that, oh shit, wait a minute, we're bigger than our men. Let's reverse that. And black women haven't figured that out. Black women are perfectly fine being bigger than their men.
I would disagree to say that's a United States thing.
Yeah, man, bro.
Not just black women, because these white women around here just as big, baby.
Oh yeah,
it's
not bigger.
It's bro. Listen.
So I don't know. Maybe it's because of where I live. Like I say, I live, downtown, and it's a little bit different culture, or whatever. But
it's 2-ton tussies out here,
bro.
I hear what you're saying, but it ain't. Listen. I'll give you black and white. But what about Asian?
Let's be clear. Let's dive into the community aspect of it real quick. We are not a community. We're not. I always say this. We are not a minority community. We are a minority collective. If we are a minority community, these things wouldn't affect us negatively the way they do. We are a minority collective. We can't afford these issues. We can't afford the problems that the major collective has. Like white people can afford all these variables because they're big enough to absorb those issues and keep moving. We're too small to have all these issues, absorb them, and then keep moving. So that's why it's kind of important for us to pay more attention to it and do something about it. America, hell yeah, bro. Anybody that goes outside of the country of the United States, man, all you gotta do is go to the islands, and the islands are all black, all like St. Thomas, St. Croix, and you look around, yeah, you got a few big ones in there, but those women are mostly they gotta walk every day. We're walking hills, they're on the beach. Go to the West
I mean,
Coast.
that's where my dad is from. My dad's from St. Croix.
Go to the West Coast. Go to California. Like California puts pressure on any woman. I don't care what race you are. California puts Miami applies pressure to any woman. It don't matter what your race is. You go to Miami, you go to California. Atlanta puts a little bit of pressure on people to a certain degree because we know Chocolate City puts some pressure on people.
So let me ask. So Sheffy, I'm gonna pose the question to you, right?
Yeah.
So you make money and everything else, right? So I guess why is it that you don't spend some of that money to try to get the weight and all that stuff down?
So I have. I spent quite a bit of time in postpartum depression after I had my son. Well, what kind of started it was a sedentary lifestyle because I'm a software engineer. I spent 18 hours a day at a computer. And then even when I was doing territory.
You said 18 hours?
Yeah. When I was hardcore, 18 hours a day. Absolutely. Because I would go to work at the University of Phoenix because that was my day job.
It's just completely unhealthy.
Oh, it was craziness.
Yeah.
That was my day job. And then I'd come home and spend the rest of the night ticking.
And that was in your 20s?
That was in my 20s.
Okay. So when was the bodybuilding stuff? Was that in college?
Yeah, that was in college when I first started that.
Okay.
I mean, once I hit puberty, things just started growing anyway. So I've always been a naturally bigger girl. I won't say things like big bone because that's not a real thing.
Do you think it's because of your food habits?
No.
So basically, like a lot of us have.
It was literally muscle at that time. Once I got to my 20s and 30s, it was just battling depression back and forth. It literally was that.
I get that. But I'll say this. A lot of people use the gym as their antidepressant.
So when I had my son, I originally lost like 30 pounds and I gained 30 pounds after him battling depression again. Then I turned around and lost 70. So I have no problem. I mean, I'm probably the smallest I've been in quite a while. And if you probably guess what I weigh, if you guess what I weigh, you'd probably still be wrong.
What was the last time? Do you spend money on a personal trainer?
I don't need a personal trainer. I know how to go to the gym.
See, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about.
No,
it's not. Hold on.
No, because you take pieces of what I'm saying to just prove a narrative when you're not even.
I'm not.
The whole story.
Well, okay, I'm not, but I'm just listening to what you're saying.
You're not.
And
even
what I'm hearing is.
You're not even letting me finish.
Okay, but you said you don't need a trainer.
No, I don't need a trainer. I know how to go to the gym.
You know how to go to the gym.
I know how to.
You have a meal plan.
Boy, if you don't shut the hell up so I can talk.
That grandma chef right there.
See what I'm saying? But go ahead.
I have over the last, how I lost my 70 pounds is a combination of intermittent fasting, as well as my own meal prepping that I do. I know what to do. That's not a problem. I've done it. I lost 70 pounds and then I had to stop for health reasons. I still have another 100 to go before I get where I want to be. So I don't need you sitting here telling me, well, you need to do this, you need to do. Sir, I know what I need to do. I just got to do it.
Do you think a trainer would get you there faster?
No. Because I typically have trained harder than most trainers.
See, and that's just the delusion. That's the level of delusion that we have to get our women away from. Like, that doesn't even make any common sense.
You're talking to somebody who did this professionally, sir.
You're talking about in college. You're talking about 30 years ago.
That doesn't mean I stopped. That doesn't mean I stopped.
Listen. I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, if you got money and you got resources, and what we don't have in this
right
lifetime,
now I am pregnant.
Hold on. What we don't have in this lifetime is time. And so if something can help you get go faster.
I am in high risk pregnancy right now. I cannot.
Oh, you're pregnant right now?
Calm the fuck down, please, and thank you.
You're pregnant.
Well, dang.
God damn.
It just even look. I ain't got nothing to say, man.
I ain't even listening to shit. Like I had just dropped 70 pounds, sir. I got it. I just got to get back on it, but I can't right now because it's medically not healthy for me. So can you please shut the hell up?
No, I'm not gonna shut anything up because ultimately, a trainer would still be able to work you out and do all these things, even when you're pregnant.
But that's if a person feels they need one. You know what I'm saying? Like you listen. I will say this about a trainer.
I have a whole ass heart problem. I can't right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say this about a trainer. If somebody ever came to see and said, "Moel, do you need a trainer?" No.
That's not the question. Is a trainer going to help you get to your goals faster?
I mean,
that's the question.
Of course, anybody that takes on a trainer,
losing weight is 90% diet. You don't need a trainer for that.
But what I'm saying is, can a trainer, depending on what your goals are, can a trainer or somebody on the outside help you get to faster? Hell yeah. But then if you don't want to get to a goal by a certain, like, I mean, again,
I get what you're saying. If you just flow in or whatever, cool. But I mean, I guess the point that I'm making, because see, I hear that type of stuff that she's saying, and okay, granted, she may have nuanced circumstances or whatever right now, but the point is that, you know, like she says, she's been a bigger girl for a long time, and so it ain't just right now. And so the point that I'm making is that our Black women maybe need to stop being so masculine or and all this stuff, and being like, oh, well, it's this, it's that, and I can do it by myself. And be like, well, maybe I should hire a trainer, because guess what? All the ladies that train with my trainer look like they belong on a trophy. They look good.
But
and the ones that aren't are getting good.
What if that's not what I want? And when I said bigger girl,
you don't want to look good?
When I said bigger girl, I didn't necessarily say fat. I just
no, but my point is, well, but who does? Who doesn't want to look like they want to be on a trophy? Who if they could pick, if they could right now say, okay, a genie just came out of a bottle, and you can say, okay, you could have your current body, or you could have the body that belongs to the trophy. Which one do you want? Who's gonna pick their current body?
I don't want neither one of those things.
Holy.
Neither one of those things.
Hey, wait.
That's a bunch of BS. That's just a bunch of BS. Let's call it for what it is.
I look like on some motherfucking
That's a bunch of BS.
Hold on. I'm gonna get Frank. No,
I want to look like how the fuck I want to look like. It ain't got nothing to do with your standards of what I should look like. Because
if a genie was able to grant you, a certain look, and you would like, and you didn't have to do anything. He snapped his fingers and you would look like that. All right, if you say you would have picked it, fine. I think it's a bunch of BS.
I didn't say I'd pick my current body, but again, it doesn't have anything to do with a trophy. I don't want to look like.
Okay, but if those are the two options, which one are you gonna pick?
Because you feel like a girl got.
Don't try to put it on me. Don't try to put it on me. I'm pointing out how the way our culture think, and it's a pathology. And if you think like this, you'll never be able to improve it.
Ain't no pathology.
You're like, oh, I don't want to look like a trophy.
Wait.
You don't want to look like a trophy. That's just a lie.
I look how I look by what's comfortable for
me.
Wait. I will get my goals based on what I want.
Of course, and that's what everybody says, because they don't want to like, you know, they don't want to face the fear of maybe not hitting their goals, not hitting the look that they want to have. No. But if we could all pick, if you could pick,
pause. No. Let's be clear. This is way too binary thinking for somebody as smart as you. No, because I got a dude right up here in the corner who absolutely he is okay with a gorilla build, and he's not playing. This man just wants to. Look, I done talk. How many times we done talked to Frank?
Okay, Moel, are you complaining? Hold on. Right, real quick. Are you comparing Sam, who has a look? Hold on.
Personal desires for how you want to look. That's what I'm talking about.
No. You can't right now. You can't, because I'm gonna tell you why. Because Sam has a desirable look for men. So hold on. So he may not have a six pack or whatever, but he's got a desirable look. So when women see Sam, they're gonna look at that and be like, "Oh, that looks good." So compared to something that looks good is my point. So if you have a choice between being overweight or being whatever you call it, whether it's trophy or whatever you call it, whatever your desired look, which is probably to be less weight, which one would you choose? The answer is obviously the one with less weight.
You didn't say that.
Okay, you're not now.
But come on, do I have to add that much context?
Because you sound like a fucking idiot.
Look at Sam. Well, Sam looks good. Like, what are you talking about?
What I'm saying is,
you need to listen to play.
You gonna shut the fuck up.
People have residual.
Big bite butt.
People have residual self-image. Remember the Matrix? When Neo showed up, and when they plugged him back up, he automatically had a visual of what he wanted to be, right? People have their own self-image. And if you ask people what they want to look like, they already have this thing in their brain of what they want to look like, right? And so if I have this thing in my brain of what I want to look like, I can look at other people and I'm like, man, that dude looks good. I can look at this man look like shit. And I can look at myself and say,
Will, you look good, bro. So it's easy for you to he's saying that like it doesn't compare, man.
No, it does.
It doesn't compare.
It does compare because wait, hold on, listen. It does compare.
So if you was overweight,
motherfucker, listen, goddamn.
All right, go ahead.
Motherfuckers don't never listen because they think they know every goddamn thing.
It's not about what I look like. It's about what I want to look better.
Who doesn't want to look better?
There you go. So I'm like, but there's a residual self-image that I have that I say, this is my satisfactory range. It's not more or less. Now, if I get to a certain point, so I have a consistent weight in my brain, and I'm literally, and you know, I'm specific. I have a consistent weight and a consistent body fat. Hey, nigga, ain't no cap. I've been doing this longer than you. Fuck out of here. It's been a consistent weight. And no, ain't
I
no
didn't say
cap.
cap. I said you caping, but go ahead.
Oh no, I ain't. Well, call it what you want. I'm saying I've been doing consistently for almost 20 years now. I've got to the point where there's a specific body weight and a specific body fat percentage, and then there's a specific look. Now, at any given moment, if you ask me, do you want to be better than that? No, I'm good where I am. So when a person,
that's why it's cap though.
It's
what
not.
you saying? I'm gonna tell you why it's cap because I'm gonna tell you why it's cap.
Here that base so much of your
Can I explain why it's cap?
Explain why it's cap. Yeah, explain why it's cap for people to have their own preference for how they want to look.
That's not what I said. I'm saying that the examples that you're trying to use are cap because they ignore the context of what the original point that I was making is that our women are overweight. So what you're doing is you're sitting here trying to say, oh, everybody has their preference. And are you saying that? Hold on. Do you think women want to be overweight?
Bro, let me tell you something. I legitimately
answer the question.
No. It's not that they want to be overweight. I think that there are women that like the way they look, and they don't want to necessarily change that much. And it's just
why
that
is that
simple.
so hard to motherfucking
understand? It's just that simple, bro. It's look for real. I've had to come. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna flip it. I've had to convince women. I talked to women that were thin, that are model less thin right now, that literally can step out onto a stage and they want to be thicker. I don't understand that.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Why not?
Because
that's the culture. So we understand that.
But that's because that's what they want. Like when people
see themselves as too small.
Yeah, this is such a basic argument. This is the type of stuff Kevin Samuels will have to push back on, right?
Because the way that they want to be, they just
have a way they want to look. Period.
Frank, do you think there's any woman that wants to be overweight?
That want to be?
Yes. If they could choose, if a genie gave them an option of being overweight or being in shape, whatever that means to them, then which one do you think they would choose?
Not the same thing. Stop. Cap.
Stop just asking. I'm asking
in
Frank.
shape are not the same thing.
Hold on, I'm asking Frank.
I was in shape at 200.
Hold on, allow Frank to answer
and I was overweight.
So allow Frank to answer the question.
Cap.
So are we talking black?
It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question.
It absolutely is.
No,
weight and health ain't the same thing.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. I just called it. Okay, hold on. Let's be fair. I'm overweight by BMI.
Okay, what's your point, Moel? Listen.
Wait. So wait.
And
So,
being
so
healthy
let's
are
just
not
say in
the
shape.
same
So
thing.
we gotta stick with in shape. We gotta kind of stick with in shape. I'm
Don't say
overweight.
overweight.
My
In shape.
BMI is overweight. Now, when I go do my body fat percentage, I come in the top 5% of humanity, so it don't fucking matter. It doesn't matter at that point. So let's kind of.
So then, what does that mean, Moel?
I'm in shape.
Okay, that means that you
But I'm
have what?
overweight. But I'm
That means
overweight.
no. That means you have what? Muscle, right?
More muscle. More muscle.
Okay, and so what is the asterisk on the BMI chart? Is that if you're an athlete, a bodybuilder, or something like that, then the chart doesn't necessarily apply to you because muscle weighs more than
that's
fat.
what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. We
why
got to
you
be
can't
careful with
use
overweight.
and in
That's
shape.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's just say
have to
let's
say
just
But
say.
y'all
shape, not in
understand
shape.
the nature of the argument. You just trying to defend her because
No,
she's your friend.
no.
But the bottom line is
I
this.
see. No, I see
The
what he's
bottom
saying. I
line
see
is
what he's
this:
saying.
is that
Okay, wait,
if
hold
she
on,
could
hold on.
choose between being the size that she is now or being whatever she considers to be in shape and smaller, I'm sure she would choose the smaller.
That's not what you said before. You said some trophy shit. I don't want to be
Okay,
a trophy.
yeah, like so. I say trophy, but don't get lost. Don't get lost in the verbiage. The point is that
say what you mean and mean what you say.
the point is that our women
Say what
need
you
to be
mean and mean what
one
you
less
say.
masculine as you sit here and curse like a sailor.
'Cause I
That's
can't.
one, and then two, they need to be able to take the criticism and say, okay, well, you're overweight. Do you think a trainer will
I
help?
already know I'm
Instead of being
overweight.
like,
I don't
no, a
need you
trainer's not going to help.
repeat
I
what
can
I
do it all
already
by myself.
know.
Okay.
But what?
I don't need you to.
Hold on,
I don't
wait.
need your opinion about me.
Hold on, but
I don't know why you always are so fixated on me.
But wait, what if you can do it yourself? Why would you?
Then the results will show. The outcomes will show.
I lost 70 fucking pounds.
Right.
Yeah, but if you already like, come on now, don't do it now. If you lost 70 pounds, but you was already 120 pounds, you know what I'm saying, past where you need to be, then you're still overweight. So I get it, but it's still losing weight isn't getting to a look. Getting to a look is different than losing weight. As Moel just pointed out, you can weigh a certain amount and according to the charts be overweight, but still have a certain look. And so what we're talking about is how our women present themselves. That's what we're talking about.
I'm gonna repeat myself because clearly you didn't hear me the first fucking time. I said I
Such a
still had
lady.
another 100 pounds to go. I didn't say I was done. I said that.
And I asked, do you think a trainer will help you get there faster?
I don't need a trainer
because losing, especially here's the thing, losing in excess amount of fat is anybody tell you that's kind of the easier part.
But my own.
That's kind of the easier part is losing like that first initial bit of weight, but then once it comes down to that punch.
But you said did she think a trainer would help her get there faster? I think okay, so I think I think obviously a trainer would get anybody anywhere faster, but does like what's the answer there, right? Like just a yes. Well, yeah, a trainer would help me get there faster, and then
so then why not invest? That's the very next thing to say.
Well, see, because again, like she just said, she's not on somebody's clock. So why am I in a rush?
I don't have to. My path
That's
is
what I'm
not
saying.
yours.
Yeah, because like
listen, this isn't about you. You're taking this personally. This isn't about you.
I'm taking it personally because
it's not about you. So
you come at me on every motherfucking call.
This is about the state of our women.
You
This is about the state of our women because the average black woman is overweight.
You've come at
and
me
so
on
I hear these same talking points over and over from black women about all these excuses.
You can call it
and I would just like to see more of us, more of our women being
will never get a piece of it. Because no, I don't. It's not like I'm.
Calm down. I had to y'all calm down. All right, man. Look, Sheffy feels picked on. Marcus, you picking a little bit. You diving a little deep, man. Please. You know,
look. It's just discussion, man. For me, I'm good.
It's not discussion when you target me every call. It's not. It's not just discussion.
Well, I
every
think
call you come for me. I don't.
On panels. Sometimes we have to use each other as examples for the greater conversation.
You don't.
So you shouldn't take personal offense to it.
We are sitting here talking about Kevin Samuels' birthday in remembrance.
And this is one of the things that Kevin Samuels preached on. Kevin Samuels felt like a 5'4" woman should be 120 to 130 pounds.
I'm not 5'4". I'm taller than you, sir.
The point is, whatever the height is, you weigh more than me too.
Absolutely, I do, and I can still bench press your dumb ass. Let's go.
I didn't hear what you said.
I think, listen, do we have in the United States of America, especially as Black people, an overweight problem? Hell yeah, especially among our women. How do we fix that? Dude, man,
you don't fix it like this.
Eat better, and incorporate more shame into our community. So it shouldn't be so readily accepted that it shouldn't be so ready. What'd you say, Frank?
That's not it. Shame ain't gonna do it. The thing is, man,
shame
just
definitely won't work.
We've been given scraps to work with, so we haven't had, as a whole, the resources to eat better.
But we got the internet, man, for the last 10 years now. So that's a cop out.
We got generations.
You sound stupid.
We got generations to get by. We got generations, man. But we got people that still eat chitlins because it's culturally their stand. Like you to unlock that, bro. To unlock generations.
But you speak to that, but then you look back at what we used to look like, and we were thinner. So how does that jive?
Because the work. Okay, I'll give you an example, right? When I can put this up right now. If I was to take a picture right now of some steamed crab legs, just steamed, put them on the internet and say, man, good meal. Just steamed crab legs. People gonna be like, oh my God, who made those? But you soak them bitches in some salt, throw some gravy on them, some butter on them, do all that. Most people are gonna be like, oh my God, because culturally we've put this thing in us to where now across the board this is the norm. And so first
do we excuse it?
No, hell no. We recognize it. We recognize it, right? So once you recognize it, you say, okay, we got a problem with the way we eat. Then we're now in a culture to where everything's convenient to sit still. Everything is now convenient to, bro. I grew up. Which one of y'all kids have rode public transportation?
Who? My kids ride the bus.
No, yeah, I'm talking about like Marta. Your kids
not Marta. Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Okay, which one of y'all? Okay. Which one of y'all daughters? They walk to the store. They make the walks that we used to make in Decatur from where you used to live?
I get it. I get it.
And then you go back and back and back and back and back. So I say we have this big pot of stuff when it comes to fitness, when it comes to competition, when it comes to sports, when it comes to video games, when it comes to work. I mean, we're no longer in a manufacturing industry.
So how do we fix it?
Honestly, bro, listen.
Do you think, hold on, can I say this? Do you think that getting a more gym culture in our culture would fix it?
We actually do in many areas. We actually do.
I know. My area is a very much so a gym culture.
Hold on. I think it's just we need to get to the point where we recommend to people be active. Because let me tell you one thing I know. My wife is an ex-track running person, right? That woman will not run, but she'll dance. She'll do everything else. So we just need to get people to get up off their ass. Period.
How do you do that?
By telling people to get out, like you gotta.
But if women are, if in women's heads they don't want to be whatever, they don't want to look like this.
Bro, with the women that don't want to be, you gotta stop. You gotta leave them alone, bro. I've said this over and over again. You can't worry about those that don't want to change because they're satisfied.
I get it, but if the majority of the women become like that, then how do the numbers work out? If 80% of our women are overweight, how
80% of our women are not overweight?
That's not true.
I don't know what the percentages are, but
it's 80%. Yes, it is.
Listen, I think you focus on.
Pull up on blackdemographics.com right now.
I think
again, overweight and being in shape are not the same thing.
I get it. So you definitely have a lot of women in our community that are overweight, that are still in shape, that look good or whatever.
5'7", 180, and by BMI, I was overweight, and I was in the best shape of my damn life. Even when I was bodybuilding, I was 218 at 5'7", overweight. Best
Well,
shape of my damn life.
Yeah, but that's still too. That's too big. You're a linebacker size. You're a running back. You're bigger than Emmitt Smith.
I wasn't a linebacker size at all.
Emmitt Smith was 5'5". No,
Emmitt Smith?
No, Barry Sanders.
Nah, he was like 5'10". Yeah.
Barry Sanders was a little one.
Yeah. So like, you're bigger than the running back in the NFL. And you're sitting here saying like, "Oh, I was the healthiest shape of my life." That's what's wrong with the culture.
So
I
think
I had 22% body fat at the time.
That's not extremely low. That's not extremely low. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but that's
the whole way that you do it is like skewed.
Wait. That's not extremely low. That's low for women, period, across the board. Like, I do measurements in BMI for a living. I've done it for years now.
Samuel, 5'7", 218. That's not a football player size.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
so is that okay?
What
do we want our women football player size?
I guarantee.
No, but it's not. Listen, so you're mixing two things up.
I ain't mixing nothing up. Okay. I just think you trying to find a way to defend this stuff.
No, I'm not defending shit. I'm making it clear. How you want women to look and then how a woman wants to look is two different things. What I'm saying is, if a woman chooses to look a certain way and she can live with those results, I am good on that.
I get it, but most of them aren't living with those results. They're complaining. They're talking about how there's no men. Wait. Complaining about dating.
Pause right there. What you just say? Most of them are what? Not living with those results. And what they doing?
They're complaining.
Am I complaining?
I'm not talking. Again, you're taking it personally. I use you as an avatar for the greater community of black women out there. And so, you can take it personally, whatever.
Specifically about my life.
Yeah, I think when you use Chef as the example or the one you're focusing on, it mixes that up with what you're trying to say about the culture. And the culture.
Okay, I get it, but she was the one that I would be able to show the pathology. So I wanted to be able to show how our black women think about it in real time.
But she doesn't have the pathology that you're speaking about when you're saying the one, because I know who you're talking about. The ones that are complaining about their results but not doing anything to change them, that's a different conversation.
So it's one thing as far as the complaint about the results, but also, just like I say, just culturally, why can't we have smaller women? So in other words, whether they're complaining about the results or not.
Go ahead, Frank. What'd you say?
Look, we all don't want smaller women. My preference, and you know, Manuel, since we've been kids, my preference has always been short, light skin, thick, long hair.
Always.
It ain't never changed. I mean, I like, I admire an athletic build, but I like the softness.
His preference been the same since.
So I don't want a trophy. I don't want a thin woman. It's not what I'm attracted to. So
and that may have some deeper psychological implications that I ain't even gonna go into. But here's the point, man. Here's the point. Okay, as human beings, I know me as a man. I don't want a woman that's bigger than me. And I would surmise that most human males, feel the same way. And so I get it. Some people like bigger girls and this and that and the third. But if I was to give you $1 billion in your bank account right now, would you still choose that same type of woman? Or would you get would you have one of those little 10-10s, one of those little racially ambiguous little long hair little things with a little small tiny waist?
Not everybody has your disgusting vanity.
Well, why is that disgusting? What's disgusting about it?
He said, why is that disgusting? No.
Why is it disgusting? Because most men agree with me. Most men don't want women that are bigger than them. That's not disgusting.
But most men aren't as little as you.
So that's the whole point. And even then, our women are bigger than them.
Because what the hell is that? Because a bigger man can manage a bigger woman. She may still not be bigger than
he doesn't want to, though. Most men agree with me. These guys are married. They ain't gonna admit it. But if I put $1 billion in their account,
I sure won't.
Admit what? Wait, hold on. Well,
like
see,
I
listen.
A bigger
Okay,
man
so
can handle a woman who is bigger
not.
than the women you date.
Let me
see
tell you.
what I'm saying?
Let me tell you. I'm not. I don't have a. I don't have a fair. I don't have. I can't fairly.
When you see guys have a lot of money, what type of women are they with?
Yeah, but most guys don't have a lot of money.
No, but when you see guys that have a lot of money, what type of women are they with? 9 times out of 10.
White women.
Manuel, what type of women? What type of shape? What type of shape are the women in of guys that have a lot of money?
They're usually with a smaller woman. That's not deniable.
Then let's see and stop capping.
Nobody cares though. Those men with a lot of money.
We care because other cultures don't necessarily have to be millionaires in order to enjoy thin, small women that are smaller than them.
Sir, I'm with Nia. If you want a European Asian woman, then just say that.
I want a black woman. There's plenty of them. I got one in my bedroom right now. I got one in my bedroom.
You want to establish all of these rules.
That's smaller.
Culture based on what you want.
Thing. I'm just saying that's what I'm speaking up for. What guys ain't gonna talk about this, so they ain't gonna be able to say it like I'm saying it. But I'm just saying it. Guys want smaller women. Guys don't want women that are bigger than them.
That's fine. Nobody said there was anything wrong with that. But what I have a problem with you is attacking me like I'm one of those women you talking about.
So if you feel attacked, I apologize. I wasn't trying to make you feel attacked. I was trying to use you as an example, though. And if in doing so, I made you feel attacked, I really do apologize. So wasn't really trying to make you feel no type of way.
This motherfucker is here. I'm done because I'm tired. I'm tired of being the butt of your little misogynistic, fat shaming ass jokes. Fuck you and everything you stand for, sir.
All right.
Yeah, man. Well, he apologized. Now, I don't think he meant it. I think he's pushing that envelope. Listen.
If we're gonna have discussions, we're gonna have discussions, and we're gonna talk about how we feel. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Right? So I'm sorry that made you feel that again. That's not my intention. I wouldn't want anybody picking on my sister or my daughter or anything like that. But at the same time,
that's something different. But
we're having a discussion, so it is what it is.
I don't practice attacking people. And
you should also practice maybe cursing a little less. I mean, you don't have to do all that neither.
Well, you can't.
Wait.
You can't legislate people's response. You can't legislate people's responses when they respond.
But I can categorize it.
You can
so, I mean, you're doing all that.
That comes off as how you feel about me isn't important to me.
Listen.
I didn't come personally attack you. I didn't start with you. I didn't bother you. I never bothered you.
I apologize. Okay. Was not trying to make you feel no type of way. But you really should relax because once someone makes their intentions known, then hey, I get it. You know, you felt the way. I'm sorry, but it's a panel. It's a panel. We're having discussions.
You should have apologized.
We're gonna put them over here so he can apologize.
Some shit personal that ain't have nothing to do with me. If we talking about the culture, let's talk about the culture. If I want to share my experience,
you represent the culture in that way. So I wanted to see how you thought about it.
All goddamn night. I don't have a problem with sharing my experience, but what you ain't gonna do is attack me for it. I didn't come for you. Don't come for me.
Like I say, if you feel attacked, I apologize.
Conversations, we don't have to make it personal, but you did.
Well, again, maybe I thought you could handle a little more direct talk or whatever, and use you for an example. Yeah. Hey, listen, I apologize. I forgot. You know, women are emotionally driven, and so I get it. So again, apologize if you feel personally attacked. Sir. I was more so trying to use you as an avatar for the greater culture.
Don't use me as no avatar without my permission. I ain't no fucking cartoon character.
Well, this is a panel. This is how panels operate.
No, this is not how panels work. How panels work are people share their experiences and then we talk about them. You don't.
Yeah, well, they share their opinion about things, and so wherever the discussion goes, it goes.
About you. Fuck you. Your short ass and everything you stand for.
Correct. Correct.
I hope everything you do fails. Good night.
Well, that's not a nice thing to say. You see? And see, y'all sitting there caping for that.
No, not caping for anything, bro. Like I know where the nuance is in these things. I know that I have a homeboy right now, bro. I have presented him. I've actually shown him women that were attracted to him, and he said, "Bro, I don't like it." And I'm sitting there because what I like is always on full display. I married what I like, and I was married to what I like. People have said that I have a type. My type seems to conform to the thin, somewhat, you have a shape. And I've presented women to men thinking that that's what they would want, and they have told me, nah, I need something more than that. Something more than what? So there's a lot of
what guys? Because again, I get it. Sam has a preference, this and the third, man.
No, man.
But I dare any guy to inherit $1 billion and then sit there and really try to tell me that you're not gonna go get the hot little model chick or whatever it is. I get it, man. Everybody kind of has to conform to what their reality is. So like in our heads, we have to kind of make ourselves accept whatever parameters life has shown us. Wait.
No, what I'm saying is when the options are presented and a man has his choice of options and he chooses something different, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about specifically. You lay it out for a dude and say, bro, here's this fine thin thing here, and here's this thick thing here. Which one you want? And a dude actually tells me, nah, she a little.
So are you saying those dudes are in the minority? Are in the majority?
Oh, I wouldn't say they're in the majority. No, I.
So then why are we talking? That's what I'm saying. Like, I get it, man. Like we tend to want to protect our women. I get it.
No. I'm saying people play their lane. So whereas a woman like Chef knows that there's a certain type that seems to gravitate to her, and she plays her lane. I play my lane. You play your lane. Everybody plays their lanes, and then sometimes when you have the choice, when you can go back and forth between one group and another group or one type and another type, sometimes you just like what the hell you like. I'm telling you, bro, I've had options that the average man just does not have unless he has money, and I still chose certain things at the end of it. I'm like, yeah, I like that, but I really like this.
I get that, Manuel, but do you think that? So do you agree or not that our women on the whole should be smaller?
Yeah, for my preferences, hell yeah.
Okay, I'm not just talking about for your preference. I'm talking about for the general man out here. Do you think that they would enjoy if our women were smaller?
Most men would want a smaller woman. Most men.
Would you say that most men want a woman that weighs less than them?
Yeah, most men say that they want women less than them. Absolutely.
So then why are we going back and forth like this ain't a thing?
Because again, there's that pocket where a woman.
But who talks about the minority or the nuance?
Because it's part of the. No, if all we talk about is the majority, then what the hell are we talking about? The conversations ain't interesting.
Well, it is because.
No, the hell it ain't. Because
I'm gonna tell you why it's interesting. Because I just gave you an interesting bunch of clips. I just gave you. Hopefully, you'll cut this up and use it. Because guess what? Here's the thing, man.
The minority. Wait. The majority of people don't bungee jump. The majority of people don't bungee jump. The majority of people don't skydive. What's interesting? A motherfucker walking across the street or swinging in a swing, or a motherfucker bungee jumping or skydiving. Which one?
No, is more? That's not the same context, What we're talking about is
human interest is a wide range of things, and sometimes that's those things that are rare drive conversation further. Yes, bro. Like we just talked about Russell Wilson being a dom and this other weird shit.
Okay.
Like
what would be the outcome? So what would be the outcome of you defending? So here you are. Okay, so let me give you the context here. Here you are, 6'2". What are you? 6'2", 6'3"? What are you? 6'2"? Here you are, 6'2", chocolate Manuel. And guess what he's doing? Sitting here defending the nuance of men who like bigger women. So Absolutely. What message do you think that's sending to the average big woman out there?
Oh,
well, the great value Derek Jackson said it's okay. So guess what? It must be okay, right?
No. First of all, I ain't the great value Derek Jackson. I'm more authentic and more original. Let's be clear about that. Number two, it doesn't send anything when I'm very clear because I speak too direct and too.
They don't hear all that. All they hear is like he said. Some men like bigger women.
They don't have to hear.
And so, what culture do you think that's going to drive? Is that going to drive a culture towards more women that are going to be like, man, I want to be in shape, or more women that are going to be like, oh, it's okay to be big. Some guys like bigger women.
So you can't speak truth because it might get blown up in somebody's head and they might take it too far.
Yeah, you actually do. You have to be careful with how you present certain messages because guess what? If you present the message that this is okay and that's all that they hear.
No. If that's all they hear, that's all they chose to hear because I'm always going to make sure it's
content. But that's all they're going to choose to hear because that's what they want to hear.
That's their business.
But why not tell them something that's more closely aligned with the majority of men's truth?
Because
we want you to be smaller.
I always tell people what the majority want. You can tell people what the majority want all day. That does not mean that you can't also say, hey, there's a majority of men that like this. But then there's always this small pocket over here. If you want to line up with that small pocket, good luck, roll those dice. But you can't just you can frame it just like that, which is what I do. I always frame things with if you like the minority and you want to fit the minority, you can run that race. Me personally, I would recommend to all women, yes, you want to be in a standard that gives you the most abundance of options.
See, you always missing your words, man.
No, that's
How
not
about you say, I recommend to all women, the likelihood is that if you could be smaller than bigger, with most men, that's going to be the best option.
Ain't you. You speak that. That's you. I'm going to always give you the options because the options are more clear. If you want to if you want more options, you're going to look this way.
I get it, man.
If you choose to be this way, you're going to limit your options. But ma'am, if you like it, I love it. Go for that if you want to. Like you have to give people their options to go for what they want to go for. And you got to present that. Like you, and if one group says, ooh, they said 10 men out of 100 like this, I'm going to hope to get one of them 10. I'm going to say, ma'am, probability is not in that favor, but go for
it. Okay. Well, I'm going to say this. Again, Sheffy, did not mean to personally offend you. Maybe I went a little far in kind of using you as a personal example, and I guess should not have done that. And so I apologize for that. I hope you don't feel, well, obviously you felt personally attacked, so I apologize for
that. Yeah, Sheffy's pretty upset.
Well, you know, I mean, you got to be able to handle yourself on these panels too, man. Like, I get it, but you know, you don't, I mean, listen, you start doing all that, and I feel you get personally attacked. Maybe just cut the camera off, but doing all the cursing and all that stuff, you just end up regretting that most of the time, So you really just got to learn to keep your cool. But, I get it. You felt personally attacked and you wanted to make sure that you let me know. And so oftentimes when people are losing the argument, they resort to, what they call ad hominem attacks. And so, that's where all the stuff comes in about personal insults about the person. Whereas I wasn't trying to personally insult her. I was just trying to use her as an example of how a lot of our women think. And why that doesn't drive the results that we want in our culture. And even the way that you were defending it, like I say,
but ultimately, you always have to say individual results may vary.
Why? When you're having a general
discussion, it's true.
You have to say, well, not all or not every. In other words, if you're having an intellectual discussion, should I have to say, well, not all and not every?
No. Individual results may vary. That's just there. Individual results may vary. An individual may choose to do something different that's different from what the norm would be or the best outcome would be. The most probable.
But if the norm has become that our women are overweight, then is it best to have a discussion towards all these nuances, or is it best to have a discussion towards the general population that is overweight?
It's good to have a discussion to have toward the general population that's overweight, but when you use somebody as an example and you ask them their preferences, and then you made one key point that kind of flipped it when you said, well, these women are complaining. And of course, if you are a person that's out here complaining about your results and then you want something different, then you got to do something different. If an individual ain't complaining about their results, let them live life. Anyway, I think everybody.
Granted, I listen again. Apologies, okay? If she's watching the last little bit of this. Hey, fuck you, nigga. I want your apology,
oh my
nigga.
God. Man, I'm gonna end the stream, man. Good night, man. Y'all.